Hello and welcome to Geek Addicts, the pop culture podcast where we make Yamcha great again. My name is Matt. With me, Planet Eater, Bill Barber. How's it going, Bill?
It's debatable whether it made him great again.
He had his moment,
He
okay?
was he was there. He did
He was cool.
something.
He beat up some guys, all right? He did something. They didn't leave
True.
him with Chaozu. In fact, they even brought Chaozu. So
Yeah. He didn't
even
play
Chaozu did something.
he didn't play baseball and he didn't do his pose though.
Well, yeah, that's why he's good again.
Some people would say the pose is the only thing he was good for.
Yeah, it's debatable. Debatable. He was cool in
Uh,
that Path to Power movie for like 3 seconds. Then he noticed Bulma.
3 seconds and then they realized, oh right, this guy.
Yeah,
You remember when he sucker
Bill.
punched Chi-Chi that one time?
Oh yeah, he just fucking smacked the shit out of her. It was honestly, it was kind. I kind of applauded him in that moment a little bit because she kind of sucked.
Well, that was Kid Chi-Chi. She was just running from a dinosaur and then
Yeah, well, there was only like like a 15 episode period where Chi was like cool, and then
wedding
she
wedding dress arc, and then it went
yeah, it was
downhill
like
from
the
there.
latter half of that last tournament and the wedding dress arc, and then yeah, that was about it.
I mean, she was kind of cool during like the time skip in Z, where ironically Goku was dead.
Yeah, it is.
I
It brings out the worst in her. That's what it is.
Yeah, in all honesty. Uh, but it's been a bit since we recorded.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks. What's been up with you, Bill? How you been?
I'm tired, but I'm always
Yeah,
tired. It's finally starting to feel like spring. It's like 80 today, so that's something.
yeah, for real, man. Like I've really been loving the warm weather. Although it's like literally, I don't know what it is with our house because like the wasps and hornets and shit just love our house. So the second the warm weather showed up, they're fucking everywhere, pissing me off.
I still have not really seen a lot of bugs yet, thankfully. But
Yeah, well, I mean, we got you know your area is a little bit different than this area. We got all
true.
I'm in like a woody area, kind of, sort of,
You
and
get a lot of forest around, so
yeah, and um, we're gets kind of muggy. We're close to the ocean, so it gets like that kind of like very humid air.
yeah.
So yeah, bugs like that shit. And we got the cranberry bogs and shit. Bugs love that shit.
It's so weird. I grew up surrounded by those things, and they're not really around here.
Now I'm sure you don't miss them very much.
Yeah, they were just scenery, to be honest.
Pretty much. What, you didn't play in the woods, Bill? You didn't play in the
Oh
woods when you were a
no,
kid?
that's like all we did back in the day.
No, I
That's
was gonna
why
say that the town you grew up in has plenty of woods too. So I mean,
we had fucking tree forts, entire like trails that we made. It was a good time. And then
you,
then they bulldozed it, and it was fucking
yeah.
sad.
But you got lucky, Bill. I came this close to pulling an Alex and doxing you.
Oh,
I
that's
almost
all
said
right.
the town. I almost said the name of the town. I mean, you don't live there anymore, so it's whatever. But
To be honest, that's not really a secret because my for people who know who can find my personal Instagram, it's pretty obvious if you see my personal Instagram handle. But
fair. Um.
yeah.
So yeah, what have you been up to, Bill? How you been spending your days over the past couple
Um,
weeks?
I haven't really done a whole lot. In all honesty,
Hmm.
mostly slept. I've been catching up on some manga. I finished Kaguya-sama.
Nice.
That was
There
my
you
big
go.
project I did. The ending was some people found it disappointing. I found it fitting. It tied off
Hmm.
everything very well. It was kind of an ambiguous ending where it was kind of like it ends, but it leaves a lot up in the air for you to make your own conclusions, which was nice.
Well, at
Uh,
least one thing is kind of set in stone either way because of the cameo in Oshinoko.
yeah, I mean, there's a few small things. I mean, there's like things that are very obvious, but it leaves a lot, like in particular, like spoiler warning for Kaguya-sama, but like a big one, like Ishigami has a really good ending, but it kind of
Thank God.
his story basically ends where there's a very ambiguous like it's almost like it basically kind of implies that in the next years of high school, him and Miko are going to have their own like love battle, which is kind of funny.
Interesting. Interesting. You know, I always felt like there was some sexual tension between them.
Yeah, I mean, the anime barely even showcases it, like, because most of it happens in the second half, but it hasn't
Well,
been animated.
even the bit that we got, even like when she's first thrown into the mix, like I could tell, especially with like the kinds of scenes that we had with like when she was listening to her weird ASMR thing with like
Yeah,
the boys like whispering sweet nothings to her, and like her headphones weren't all the way in.
yeah,
Like, and he's like going out of his way to make a fool of himself to try and like protect her from it, like
yeah,
from being embarrassed. Like, I don't know, just silly shit like that. And then just like, I don't know, like the hate boners they have for each other. Like, it
yeah,
just gets to it just gets to a point where I'm just like, they're gonna fuck. Like, there's no way it's not gonna happen.
yeah. Um, no, I finished that though. My next manga I want to read is Kaiju number 8, so I'm going to be starting that pretty soon.
Very nice. I just got a notification actually this morning, I believe, or maybe it was yesterday. That volume 11 of Solo Leveling was because I had it reserved, and it just got sent to my local library, so I'll be going to pick that up tomorrow.
Nice.
And depending on whether or not because I wanted to do Chainsaw Man, like that's the next one I really want to do. But the past few times I've gone in there, there's been like some missing volumes here and there because people take them out or whatever. So if they have like 1 through 11, I'm just gonna grab them. But if they don't, I'm either gonna grab Zom 100 or Jujutsu Kaisen because they have both.
Hmm.
Um, they only have up to volume 10 for Zom 100, but for Jujutsu Kaisen they're up to date. So
Nice. Speaking of Solo Leveling, that finally ended, so I have to finish that.
oh yeah, it's the
Anime
the
adaptation.
season 2. Gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Um,
because I thought the manhwa was technically done, even though we don't have them all yet.
yeah, the manhwa's been done for a while because they're already making a sequel manhwa. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay, cool.
the season 2 anime just wrapped up. That just wrapped up. My Happy Marriage finally wrapped up.
Yeah, I
Because
was gonna say something about that because I actually was looking because I've been checking periodically, and I looked yesterday and I saw that it said that both last episodes were being released today. I was like, oh shit, I haven't watched them yet, but either over the weekend or on Monday or something, I'll watch them.
I've already seen the dub because the dub leaked onto fucking like illegal streaming sites like weeks ago.
Yeah, well, that's gonna happen,
Because Netflix fucking dropped the ball so hard here, and they still won't say what happened. Like they're just ignoring it and like not answering anyone's questions. You know what was really the thing that pissed everyone off?
What's that?
Because a lot of people thought initially it was being delayed because of dubbing, because like they had dubbing conflicts.
Hmm.
Japan got the dub before we did.
That's fucking wild.
You could VPN it and say you were in Japan, and the dub would appear. Like the final 2 episodes, it was like, what the fuck happened? Like, how did Netflix drop the ball so hard here?
That's crazy.
Like, because everyone was laughing, like they were well, they were rage laughing, I should say. They were joking how it's funny how one of Netflix's own produced animes they fucked up super hard like this, but then they're promoting like Crunchyroll animes like Apothecary Diaries and stuff.
Yeah, right. It's wild. Oh,
Speaking of
Cindy
that,
said she might start that soon.
oh, she'll be in for a treat because that show is fucking wild.
Yeah, it is. And I kind of like, I tried to give her like a little, like, obviously, like, I feel like that's one of those shows where you can't really explain it to somebody. They just kind of have to experience it. Because
It's
it sounds stupid when you try to explain it to somebody. It's one of those kinds of shows.
hmm, then it goes some weird places. Like,
Yeah, like the frog, which we haven't discussed yet, I don't think.
oh yeah, we finally discovered the infamous spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't seen Apothecary Diaries. The frog is Jinshi's fucking dick.
Yep. That's the she finally got the reveal. And she almost really got the reveal for a second there.
Hey, she insists it was just a frog.
Yeah, well, he was pretty insistent on proving her wrong for a second there.
I'll let you know because like that was technically the end.
Is a moderately sized frog.
Um, I will say like because that was technically the end of the first half of season 2. They didn't even wait; they've immediately gone into the second half. Um, and I watched the first episode of the second half. She's still claiming it was a frog. She refuses to
Yep.
acknowledge it.
Yep.
Yeah, that happened. We did get the most wholesome Mao Mao smile though at the end of that episode. So
Yeah, because she finally got her uh, Bezoar. That's what how it's called.
whatever poison it was.
Well, no, it's like an actual thing. It's like a stone that forms in like the stomachs of goats or something. It has
Basically,
like really good medicinal properties.
it's something that only Mao Mao would care about.
Yeah. Um. But yeah, there's that. So I don't know if you saw because I don't believe you responded to it, but Adam over on the SuperPods server at one point a couple weeks ago, I think, tagged us and asked like why we haven't brought up Blue Exorcist and how it's been all of a sudden getting a bunch of new stuff.
I've never
Uh,
seen it, so I just didn't have
I
anything to
hadn't at
say.
the I hadn't at the time either. But just the timing of it just lined up with like me finishing up whatever I was watching at the time, and a bunch of my ongoings just stopping. Um, so I was like, all right, fuck it. I guess I'll watch Blue Exorcist.
Hmm.
And well, first of all, Blue Exorcist, I feel uh, as far as storytelling goes, is Demon Slayer done correctly.
So it's not just pretty animation; there actually is substance.
Yes. Well, first of all, I just want to throw this out there. The two main characters are probably, arguably, the most in demand male anime voice actors at the time. Bryce Papenbrook and Johnny Young Bosch are the two main characters, and they're twin brothers.
That's an odd combo, but that's interesting.
It works though. It works. It's not the only time they've worked together either.
Well, they've both been in the game for so long now,
Yeah, they both played a lot of main characters.
but only one of them was a Power Ranger.
This is true.
I'm just just saying.
Yeah, but one of them caused the rumbling, and it wasn't Johnny Young Bosch. So,
See, my favorite Johnny Young Bosch thing is like he keeps like making cameo appearances in like later Power Ranger seasons, and every time he shows up, he always pitches to the writers like, "Can we kill off my character this time? It'd be cool. Can we please kill him off?" They never do because they want to keep bringing
geez.
Adam Park back.
But no, the series is cool. It's like Bryce Papenbrook's character is well, technically they're both the son of Satan, obviously because they're twins. But Bryce Papenbrook's character actually inherited the power, so it's like kind of like his whole thing, and he's like the wild card, and Johnny Bosch's character is like the straight man kind of situation, and it really works for the show.
So the typical Johnny Young Bosch role and the typical Bryce Papenbrook role. Nice.
Pretty much, yeah. But it has a weird structure because I'm assuming that when they made the first season, they only intended it just to be that one season. Well, first of all, because there's like I think a good 5 or so years between season 1 and season 2, and in season 1, the last like 7 or 8 episodes is like an anime only ending that they just made up for the show, and then season 2 starts, and it just kind of pretends that ending didn't happen and picks up like from the last canon thing that happened, which was really confusing for me when I was watching it because I was just watching it straight through. And I like the stuff happens because like the anime only ending, they kind of do this whole thing where the Johnny Young Bosch character kind of like awakens a demon power where he kind of like inherited the power too. It was just more dormant. And then like season 2 starts and he's just normal human again. And I was really, really confused about that for a little bit. And I actually did some research and figured out what that thing happened. But no, it's really good. It seems like there's only going to be like 1, maybe 2 more seasons at most. But I've really been enjoying it. I am caught up now. I also watched a couple My Hero movies that I hadn't previously seen.
That's all I've seen of that series.
The movies?
The first 3. I still haven't seen the 4th one.
Oh, the newest one? The newest that's the one that just was added on Netflix, I think.
Yeah, I gotta.
Ironically is the only one of the movies that I actually like didn't get super bored watching. If I'm being honest.
So I will say I fell asleep watching the third one. Um, the
I think that's the
first
only one
just
I haven't seen.
have fun with that. Yeah, it's a series that I don't have interest in at the moment. So
Well, no, the series is great. It's just the movies is it's a thing with me and like shonen movies. Like most of them, like the story itself has to be really interesting for me to care. Like I kind of felt like the One Piece movies are fine. I don't dislike any of them, but I also did get super bored in some of them. And like
gold, gold, because that's the one I didn't like.
did I watch that one?
That's the one with all the money. And,
I don't know if I watched that one. I got super bored watching Strong World. Z, I think, is the only one that kind of like caught my attention a little bit.
Z, I love Z.
Red was
Stampede was
okay.
Red's a fun musical. Z is fun. Strong World is okay on a second watch. The first watch I didn't really get. I watched it again though, and I thought it was pretty good.
Um, and then there's like a bunch of other shows that like I've seen like the movies for, and they just like I don't know like obviously the Dragon Ball ones are an exception, but for the most part, like if it's a movie based on like a shonen series, like a shonen franchise, it has to really bring something interesting to the table, or I'm just gonna get bored as shit. Like I only like three of the Naruto movies, and there's a bunch of those.
I've only seen three of them, and they're probably the only ones that are worth watching.
Well, I've seen all the original Naruto ones, and I only really like the first one. I think that was only because it was the first one, and it was kind of did something a little interesting. But
I've only seen the last, which is just a great ending to the Shippuden era.
yeah,
I've seen Road to Ninja, which is just fun because it's reverse world, and that's just hilarious.
Yeah, I feel like I like that one more on a repeat watching because I when I watched it, I was expecting something different than what we got, and I
There's
think
just
that kind
something
of threw
fun.
me off.
There's just something funny about Bad Bitch Hinata. Like there's just
Yeah,
something about that that will forever be funny to me.
for real.
Um, and then I've
The
seen
Boruto movie is good too.
The Bardo movie is good. I like certain things they did in the anime version of that more, but the movie itself is a solid watch.
I think overall, I like the movie version. I feel like, and maybe part of that is just because it took too damn long to get to that arc in the anime.
They fleshed out a lot of stuff in the anime, which I liked. The movie does it definitely more concise though.
Yeah, and I don't know, I like the pacing of the movie, and like some of the obviously like they had to make some changes for the TV series, and they like kind of put more focus on the tuning exam itself.
Well, they had to flesh out a
Um,
lot more characters as well. Because I think in the
yeah,
movie, Chocho doesn't have a line; she's just there.
I feel like Chocho gets a lot of attention in the anime.
She does. That's why a lot of people don't like Chocho. He's
Yeah,
also the most confusing one because it's like you look at all the pairings and you're like, yeah, these make enough sense. Then you look at that one, you just go, sure.
did 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 Choji and I forget the Chocho's mom's name, but did they even interact at all in Shippuden ever?
Maybe
I
I
know
don't.
she kicked the shit out of Naruto at one point.
See, I'm pretty sure the response to them getting together was everyone just going,
I love
okay.
her introduction though in Shippuden, where like she's going to the village with it was like right after the pain stuff, so the village was like completely destroyed. And she was with the dude with the lollipop who was like always worrying about shit. And he's just like, "Oh, you shouldn't throw stones because you could start an avalanche and destroy the Leaf Village." And then they get to the Leaf Village and everything's just in ruin, and her jaw just hits the floor. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Oh man. I gotta finish Bardo, but that's a bit.
Oh, happy news! I don't know if this is like legitimately confirmed, but I read on a few different sites that lucky you, Bill, Boruto Part 2 confirmed in the
I'm not
works.
I'm not upset by that. I'm more just like
Well, I'm
show
hoping because I did finish Boruto in the interim. And at least the manga canon stuff, which is all I care really to watch, aside from the time travel stuff, that was cool. But I actually fully know like where it ends, and like as soon as I finished it, I went and I looked through my Boruto manga so I could figure out like how much material they actually have to work with for when they actually bring the anime back. There's like a solid 8 volumes and some change for them to work with. So I'm hoping that Studio Pierrot learns their lesson or carries over the lesson, I should say, that they've been using with Bleach Thousand Year Blood War and make it fucking seasonal, because Boruto did not need to be serialized that way.
But we
It does
need
not
the
need to be a
filler.
300 episode series.
We
It
need
took them
filler.
fucking 200 episodes to introduce the most important character in the series. It's fucking stupid.
But filler. we need
Fuck the
Boruto
filler.
being an asshole for
No, we had
3
enough
arcs.
filler in Naruto and in Naruto Shippuden. We don't need and Boruto filler is a liar too, because every fucking filler list that you look up for Boruto is like, oh, Boruto actually has a low filler count of like 11%. Like, no, wrong, false.
Well-
Boruto has extremely high filler, like way more than any of the other series.
To be fair, though, like the majority of people who probably made those lists probably didn't realize half the shit that they thought was canon wasn't, because most of them
Well,
probably did
no,
not.
because the site specifically creates like a segmented thing where it's like filler, anime canon, manga canon. They specifically segment them like that. So like they're accounting anime canon, which is a stupid phrase, because if it's anime canon, then it's filler.
Wasn't it anime first?
I don't know.
Because I know like Dragon Ball Super.
I didn't get into Boruto until the manga was already like at least part 1 of the manga was already like halfway done. So I have no idea what came first.
I'm actually kind of curious if it was
because I know
anime.
the Boruto manga started out like Kishimoto had somebody else drawing it, and then like I don't know, maybe he was busy with something else, and then eventually he ended up coming back in and taking over.
Well, that's actually the reason why I didn't really like the manga at first, because I just didn't like the art.
Well, that's fair. I mean, I think the Boruto. I mean, I'm also judging it by how it is now, and the Boruto manga is really killing it right now. So,
Okay, so the manga was first,
but it also is being released on a monthly schedule, like Super. So
true. Well, Super was like anime first. I know that for a fact.
there was a point though where the manga was ahead of the anime for a short time. It was only up until I think the fight between Piccolo and Frost in the Universe 6 tournament. And only because the manga just fucking leapfrogged right over Frieza.
Yeah, well, it skipped a lot of
It's
shit.
the only reason the manga got that little bit of a lead, and then it didn't retake the lead until I think like a year after the anime had already ended.
Yeah.
But anyways, moving on from anime, video games. I've been playing a few different games actually. But bouncing around because I don't know. I'm just at a point right now where like I don't want to focus too much on one game, so I'm just kind of playing around with a few different things. I don't know if I mentioned last time, but I did start I started a run of the original Crash Bandicoot, which has been pretty cool. I think I'm further than I've ever been, which is pretty cool. And I also started a replay of Shin Budokai 2,
Nice.
which is the first time I played that in a long time. But I really like some of the stuff that they do with that game. And I pulled the trigger and started Earthbound.
Nice.
And I don't know exactly how far in I am, like in terms of the story, but I'm doing the zombie stuff right now. I'm in Threed. I just got my third party member. So
okay, you're still pretty early on because you haven't even got to Fourside or the wackiness that is Fourside.
Yeah, I got 2 of the whatever print things. I don't even know what the hell that is.
The magic MacGuffins or whatever.
The magic footstep print things. I don't know.
The notes for the Soundstone shit.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. The magic Soundstone Ocarina of Time, whatever. I don't know what it is.
Isn't Earthbound a trip?
Yeah, Super is. Like I've been enjoying my time with it. I like a lot of the things that it does differently than a lot of other JRPGs.
That was the main thing behind that game, because like it's mostly Earthbound was really cool when it came out. It'd actually be kind of fun to do an episode on that when you finish it.
Well, that was part of my plan, was that Yeah, that was part of the reason why I did that instead of doing just another Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest game. Is partially because more video game content for the podcast because we don't do enough video game stuff,
Mm.
and partially because it would give us an excuse to have Aaron on again. So
Yeah,
well,
Aaron.
I say
Let
again,
Aaron.
he hasn't even been on yet, but you know what I mean.
He's been here in spirit.
Yeah,
um,
he's our boss man, Lord and Savior.
yeah.
We are his disciples.
You're gonna make him embarrassed. Yeah, Earthbound's an interesting one though. The soundtrack is wacky and odd.
Mm.
That opening cutscene is still the most like you start it up and you're like, am I playing the right game?
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of like aspects of it that I've been finding really interesting, but also like really wacky. Like just some goofy ass shit. I like
Shigesato Itoi has a very interesting way of writing. Like he's
and
only
even
done like 4 games.
hmm, like even just like something as simple as like the money system, like how that works. Like you don't just get money from your fights. Your dad sends you money. Like he wires you money over to your checking account and you got to go to an ATM to take money out. Like which in a big way I do really like that because if you happen to die, you lose half the money you have on you, but with that system in place, you only have the money that you need for whatever. So, you're not losing a ton of money. Like I have like a good amount of money stashed away in the bank account right now.
So what'd you think of the opening part where you first encounter the aliens and then your fly buddy gets killed instantly?
Oh yeah. That was annoying.
That whole family's annoying.
What are the butterflies for? It's like these random magic butterflies that if you come in contact with them, it's like, oh, you feel relaxed now, and then they go away. As I don't know what the hell that's for.
I don't remember, to be honest. It's been a while since I've played Earthbound. It's some sort of stat boost.
I don't know. It's weird.
The
But
whole
I would
game's weird,
yeah.
to be
I
honest.
would like to I know obviously we're doing Toriyama month. Oh, by the way, this is the first episode of Toriyama month. We didn't mention that. Um but maybe at some point in the future after I finish my go through or if you want to play it too at some point, I would like to do an episode of the Shibudokai games
Hmm.
because the first one's good, but it's fairly simple. The second one does some interesting new things. Um And it's something I really like to talk about in general because they kind of do like an original story, um, and they do some fun things with the mechanics that I just think are worth talking about. And
Hmm.
I feel like not enough people talk about the Shin Budokai games.
Well, they were only on PSP.
Yeah, maybe we'll do like a trilogy of episodes. We'll do Shin Budokai 2, and Dragon Ball Evolution.
That game's better than the movie.
I know.
That's mostly just because it's Budokai.
No, honestly, as far as gameplay goes, it only takes one step down from the other Shin Budokai games because it's Dragon Ball Evolution. That's literally the only reason.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
Um,
I think it's actually the only Dragon Ball. Well, actually, no, that's not true because Dragon Ball: The Breakers changed that. But it's the only fighting game, at least, where you can play as Bulma, and it's the Dragon Ball Evolution version of Bulma.
which basically isn't Bulma. It's like how Chi
Mm.
Chi's in that game too, and it's not even. It's Chi Chi in name only.
Mhm.
Every character's in name only in that game.
Yeah, yeah. The only one that's even quasi like his actual character is Piccolo.
Yeah,
But he's too See, he kind of takes after like Z Piccolo with like kind of the stoic nature, whereas like actual Demon King Piccolo is much more like mustache twirly villain.
yeah. He was just an asshole to be an asshole.
Yeah, but
um,
yeah, I've been just bouncing around between those games, and occasionally I'll dip my toes into like another game. Like I fucked around with Tobal Number One a little bit.
that's sure a game.
It was like a JoJo game that I fucked around with a little bit. So he's kind of playing around a little bit. Next week I'll probably be putting a little bit more focus because I technically already beat Go Go Ackman, but I'll probably just jump in again just to kind of fuck around with it a little bit before we do our episode on it. So
Yeah, I gotta boot that up and give it another playthrough too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, other than that, I haven't really been playing a lot of games. I got the Lunar Remaster Collection that finally came out.
Mm-hmm.
I managed to get a physical copy of it by ordering it on Amazon the day it came out and just happening to get a copy because
That's
they didn't
nice.
allow didn't allow pre-orders, so it was literally you had to get in and get it or before it was gone.
You know, pre-ordering games is weird anyway.
Yeah, but it does help. At least it guarantees you'll get a copy
Yeah.
most of the time.
Oh, and I got those black and white mangas, so
Nice.
we're good for at least the next 3 times we decide to do Pokemon. So
Hilariously, I stopped at that retro store and they're still there.
that's wild.
But
I feel like that store doesn't put a whole lot of focus on manga, even though they do have like a little tiny. Honestly, I think I have more manga than that store does.
to be honest, though, the selection they have is bigger than you'd expect. But that store also, it's mostly video games, but it has a lot of stuff. Like there's a comic section in there.
Yeah, well, there's also a bunch of Taylor Swift posters, so
yeah, they have. I mean, they sell records, they have CDs, like, they got everything in there.
No, I definitely like to pop back in there the next time we give you a visit. When our I'm not going to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that right now.
Yeah.
I almost got mad for a second. I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, that being said, though, I guess we should transfer. It's about half an hour in. We should go to our segment for this episode, Diamond Time.
Yeah, we
We're
are
going to be covering
3/4 of the way.
We'll be covering 2 episodes for this one, 14 and 15. Where's the music? That'll work.
Hey.
Yeah, so these 2 episodes, the best way I can sum them up from like how I was thinking about it was this is like the setup period where they are setting up for the big shit that's probably going to happen next.
Yeah, it's like the first one was kind of like getting there. The second one is like, all right, we're here. Let's kind of do the red ribbon thing and just take on all these fucking schmucks. And then the next one is gonna be kind of like the last bit of that, and then those last 4 episodes are just gonna be like bam, 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 final boss shit.
Gotcha. Yeah. Interestingly, like watching the first episode, not a lot of major plot happened. It was mostly like some side story, like gags and stuff, and like exposition.
For the most part, I mean, we got some more goofy Hive-ish shit, which is always good. Honestly, it's a little bit disappointing that he's not gonna be in like any other Dragon Ball stuff going forward. I mean, maybe they'll bring him in something. Maybe they'll decide to do a Diamond Part 2. Who knows? But
maybe Togataro just like add him to the Super Manga randomly for no reason.
Even though it wouldn't make any sense because they're not the same universe.
It's Dragon Ball. It doesn't have to make sense. True.
If you want it to be canon, then it is.
Demon World. That's the new excuse for everything.
So they get to Warp and they're like, oh shit. They shut it off.
The ship broke again.
Yeah. Well, it's okay because they don't need one anymore. It's all good.
Yeah, but they're like, you know what? We don't need this anymore. We're good now.
Yeah, so they get to Warp, that shut down. They're all freaking out about it, and like the whole like, because I don't know if we mentioned this, but there's literally just like holes that like kind of like tunnels kind of that connect each of the 3 demon worlds. But they've had like this barrier over them for like time out of mind. Like nobody knows how long it's actually been there, but they're there. And Goku's like, I don't know if it's actually there, so I'm gonna poke it with a stick. And he pokes it with a stick, and it like zaps him and almost kills him.
In Goku fashion.
And then Neva just kind of like pops over, and he's just like, yeah, it's kind of stuffy in here. I'm gonna open it up, and he just kind of fucking does a little chant, and the barrier just kind of goes away. And Piccolo's like, yo, you made that, didn't you? He's like, yeah, kind of. So, all right, so let's run down the list real quick, okay? So, Neva created the quote-unquote original Dragon Balls for the Demon Realm.
Yes.
Created the Tamagami. Can just summon Dragon Balls, even the ones he didn't make. can activate dormant Dragon Balls that are still in their stone form. He can, I mean, it makes this is less impressive, but he can power up the Tamagami just at will, just because. And he can also create this ultra powerful barrier that if you even come into a little bit of contact with it, it'll just shoot lightning at you and kill you.
Yeah.
What the fuck? This dude is like fucking ridiculous.
But he's
he's been old. He's like fucking old as shit. Like he's been around for like thousands of years.
And he just fucks with everyone by pretending to be senile the whole time.
It's great. Like honestly, like it's one of those characters that I kind of wish would stick around.
See,
because God knows what he's like the Whis of Daima.
He's a more like. See, Whis is like the thing with Whis is like Whis like deliberately just he's like, yeah, I can't help you until I need to. This guy's just like, I'm gonna fuck with you and only help you when it's convenient to me for whatever my agenda is.
I kind of like that though. I kind of like the old senile, I don't give a fuck attitude. Like this is entertaining to me, so I'm just gonna do this just because fuck it.
See, Whis is more like you amuse me. I'm going to help you.
It's pretty wild.
When necessary, because we'll get into Whis later in this episode because there is some plot with him that we'll talk about. But
yeah. So yeah, they jump through the hole now that the hole is open, and well, no, they don't jump through. They take the plane at first, and then as they're going through, they're like, the plane can't handle it, so they all have to bail. And Bulma's just kind of looking around, like, am I the only one here who can't fly?
Yep.
He's like, yep, actually, yeah. Because even Hibis can fly.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't expect it, just like, looking at him. But yeah, he can fly.
It's all right. She's got Vegeta there. She'll be fine.
And also Pansy can fly, which I know we've known that already. But Pansy can fly, which makes you wonder, like, why in the earlier episode she was using Hibis as a step stool when she could have just flown.
Was the control collar suppressing that, or was it just typical?
Well, no, because Supreme Kai took the collar off long before they met up with Hibis.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Then it was just probably Toriyama forgetting, like usual.
Probably.
Rule of funny applied, and they decided it doesn't have to make sense if it's funny.
This is true. But yeah, Hibis is just like, oh great, am I gonna have to carry you? She's like, I kind of gotta have Vegeta do it, just obviously. And Hibis goes, oh, phew, thanks for taking that hit, man.
I love the running joke that nobody can stand Bulma except Vegeta.
I love the running joke that like nobody there can stand Hibis, but he's like the best character in the show.
Well, because he's just sarcastic and he just doesn't give a fuck. He's like,
he's just the driest motherfucker on the planet. But it's kind of great.
Like, there's a battle going on. I'm gonna eat some chips.
Yep. Oh yeah. So yeah, they go through the hole, and that's pretty much it for the episode. There wasn't really a whole lot.
The convenience
aside
store.
from
the convenience
I thought
store.
That wasn't the next episode.
No, that was in this one. That was like the one thing that happened in this one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We do get a little bit of time with Goma and his little group. Oh yeah, because they all react to the hole being open and shit.
Yeah, we also get a lot more of the Demon World Ginyu Force.
Yeah, well, we get introduced to the Demon World Ginyu Force.
Yeah,
which spoiler alert, they're not going to be very long lived for this series.
They're the Ginyu Force. Why would they last long?
I mean, to be fair, the original Ginyu Force was a serious threat.
True.
And even if you want to make the argument, Captain Ginyu was still a threat, even going into Super for a little bit there.
Frog.
Yeah. Oh god, it all comes back to the frog.
Goku, careful! You don't know what that actually means.
Yeah, right. So yeah, we get introduced to the Gendarmerie Force, which they're literally just the Ginyu Force, but they all look like they could be like quasi related to Beerus, but in kind of the same way that like Dispo seems like he could be related to Beerus. Like they're not obviously not the same species, but they look similar enough where they could be from the same place.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of confirms that Beerus and Champa are also from the Demon Realm. Because they do have pointy ears. I just assumed because they're more like animal-like. I just assumed that they just had pointy ears because of that.
I just assumed because they were cats, but
yeah, it could be. But wait, does Korin have pointy ears?
I think so.
Is Korin a demon cat?
Korin is that's what we need. We need Korin's backstory. Get on it, Dragon Ball.
For real. Come on, Toyotaro. We know that's what you want to write.
He writes the marriage between him and Yajirobe. Makes it canon, damn it.
The wedding arc, part 2. So yeah, we get introduced to the gendarmerie force, and they are just as goofy and silly. But they kind of like go like way over the top with their introduction poses, and just start blasting rifles and rocket launches and shit in the lobby of the castle, and just completely fuck it up. And
I saw that, and I was like, it's the Ginyu Force if they were American.
Yeah, exactly. And Goma's just like, you guys know you're paying for that, right? And that does kind of come around to bite them, because they go to the convenience store to get a bunch of like mold flavored chips or whatever. And well, first thing I noticed that is like they just grab like everything off the shelf, and they just kind of encounter Ku and Do there because they came for chocolate.
Yeah.
And they kind of like, oh, look at these kids. They need lots of sweets, and you work hard to become strong like us, and you can afford all this. And they literally like load up all these different baskets with all these different snacks. And like they open up the purse and look inside, and they're like, oh shit, we're like broke. So they only like originally they were like offering to buy them all these different snacks, and they just take like the 2 candy bars and say, here you go, kids.
See ya.
But then I noticed they also walk away with all the shopping bags with all like the shit ton of snacks. So like, did they just steal those? Because they only had like 3 coins.
Not important.
I mean, I feel like the gendarmerie probably should just get a bunch of shit for free anyway. But at least with the hierarchy of the demon world, I feel like it would make sense.
We also don't know how much the money there is worth. That might have been.
He looked too worried for it to be a lot.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
they got chocolate though.
Yeah. So yeah, that was just like a kind of like a goofy little bit with just Ku and Do just being like, oh wow, so cool, you know? And
what nice guys.
Yeah, pretty much. After they like promise that they're gonna buy them all these snacks, and they get them 2 candy bars.
And it's more than they had. It's more than they had before.
But yeah, Goma and Degasu and everybody, they're all freaking out because the hole is open. And I think at this point we move into the next episode, which is pretty much just a giant battle.
Yeah, not a ton of plot happens here. We get a cool moment of...
One very important plot thing happens.
Refresh my mind, because I don't remember.
The eye.
Oh yeah, the eye on Hybis's belt. It's like
so I gotta ask, did you catch on to that up to this point at all? Like, did you suspect that eyeball was important?
No, I just thought it was a decoration, kind of like Hybis did.
You see, it's funny because a lot of people had the same assumption, but like as I was going back through these episodes, going back to like when Hybis was first introduced, and they first call attention to the belt, like literally. Like, they have a scene where Goma's freaking out, like, oh, God, if only I had used that one wish I had on the eye. I really could use the eye right about now.
See, I forgot about the eye.
And literally the very next scene, it flashes over to Hybis's group, and Bulma comments on his belt. And he's like, oh, yeah, I found this eyeball up in the woods, and I just stuck it on my belt. Literally the very next thing that happens is that scene. And so many people, it just went right over their head. It went over my head. It went over your head. Like,
yeah. It sure did, because I immediately forgot about the eye, and then like Bulma was like, "Oh, that's a cool thing," and I'm like, "Oh, that's belt, nice."
They like make it super obvious, and we just don't. And I think it's because of Hybis' just kind of like super dry whatever attitude that we just don't even notice it.
I love how he puts the eye on his belt too, where he just fucking hammers it in there, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's probably good."
Yeah, right. But yeah, so like the big fight happens, and this is like there was a lot of contention over this episode. A bunch of people were freaking out about how like, oh, Vegeta just had this big Super Saiyan 3 battle a few episodes ago, and they're getting taken out by these little stun guns. Like, well, my argument to that is these guns aren't meant to do damage. They're meant to incapacitate you. You know, they're not meant to overpower you. They're meant to suppress you.
Well, also, this is Vegeta. He's only allowed to have one moment of awesome between like multiple periods of sucking for no reason.
Yeah, this is true. Well, I mean, Goku was getting taken out by them too.
True.
But it's one of those things where like these guns aren't meant to like, you know, blow shit up, you know. And also like I feel like because there's a whole thing like where later on like the Pansy's dad and like his army show up and they're all helping out and everything. And they don't like Goku and his group, like they don't use their transformations until then. And I feel like that might partially be because like maybe their kid bodies can't handle those transformations for long periods of time. And there was just so many enemies that like it still would have taken a bit to knock them all out, even if it only took one punch each, you know? So like maybe like they just didn't want to get themselves tired out before, you know, they had to do the big fight. I don't know. I'm just kind of pulling shit out of my ass here, but
I mean
that makes sense to me.
That would be a novel thing. Like it would make sense because like in GT, that was like one of the biggest criticisms was the fact that it was like once Goku remembers how to use his powers, it's like, oh, he's just as powerful as he was. Oh, it's the Goku show from now on. I see. Yes.
Yeah, it didn't even matter that he was a kid in GT. He was just strong. Whatever. And then when he went Super Saiyan 4, he was just an adult for no reason. So it's just like, okay, whatever.
Still, one of the dumbest lines in that show is they're like, go like what does Chi-Chi think? He's like, well, if I want to hang out with Chi-Chi, I'll just go Super Saiyan 4. I'm just like, not the point, Goku.
Yeah, well. Oh, who knows? Maybe she likes a nice shag carpet while she's shagging.
I don't know. Whenever I think Chi-Chi and GT, I just think of her in the nursery shoving the needle in his ass.
Well, that was your introduction, wasn't it?
That was the first thing I saw of that show, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Why is Chi-Chi old? Why is Goku a child? Like, what's happening here?
God. So yeah, it's just a bunch of running around and fighting, and Goma's panicking, and then Goma gets like a zoom in on Hybis and notices his belt, and he's like, shit, that's the third eye. Like, how the fuck do they have it, and why is it being used as a belt buckle?
Yeah, and then we get the recap of Hybis like, I found it on the ground, and then I made it a belt ornament.
Yeah, because we get this whole like the anime just kind of like stops for a second, and it's just like, let's give you this history on what happened with the eye. Well, the old Demon King Abura had the eye, and he was real strong, and then Dabura, who we all know, just decided one day that he wanted to just overthrow his dad and become king now. So he hired some random schmuck to steal the eye and deliver it to him. But then some like random caveman bonked him over the head and the eye was lost forever. And Deborah was like, well, fuck it. I'm strong now. So whatever.
And then he got his ass kicked by Boo, and then Hybis found the eye.
Yes. But I also wanted to point out, I don't know if you caught this. I didn't catch it the first time, but I caught it this time. When it's kind of like talking about like the history of the eye being passed down from generation to generation, it showed silhouettes of previous Demon Kings. One of them looked suspiciously like Beelzebub. Which is kind of weird and confusing because Beelzebub, like Beelzebub's dad in Sandland, looks just like Deborah.
I think that was more, if anything, that was probably just Toriyama being like, this would be a funny inside gag.
Well, I think Toriyama just likes to reuse character designs.
Well, that too. He does, because, I mean, Deborah immediately, like, right there.
But it's just like a funny little, like, nod that I noticed, especially since I feel like Sandland and Daima were in production at the same time.
I think so.
So I just thought that was a fun little nod. But yeah, so Goma notices that the eye is there, and he's like, Degasu, go get that shit. And apparently, because there was I don't know if this was like confirmed or not, but I heard that there was like initially, like that chick who approached Hybis, originally supposedly was supposed to be like Degasu in disguise, which it's not, because later on we're gonna get a scene of her delivering it. But it was a really funny scene though, because she shows up and she's like, "Hey, that's a really cool belt. I like it a lot. How about we do a trade? You give me the belt and I'll give you a kiss." And he's just like, "Why would I want that?"
Yeah, he's like, I'm
I
good.
can't. He's like, "I can't wear a kiss, but I can wear that hat."
And then she's so upset after.
She's like, "Well, I got it, but like my pride."
Yeah. I love that. He's like, it's like, fuck the belt. I want the cool hat.
Yeah, right. I thought that was really funny.
Ibis is on a different like brainwave than the rest of us.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like Ibis. He's cool.
I just love that he just doesn't give a shit. He's like, oh, cool hat.
Yeah, pretty much. He's just like, all right, well, I'm not gonna lose my cool belt and not have something cool to wear, so whatever. Oh yeah, so like Pansy's dad's army shows up and they all get that big like second wind, I guess, and they completely wipe out that army, very Red Ribbon style. And it's pretty much where the episode cuts off, unless I'm forgetting anything.
That was about it. I mean, we got the cool moment of Goku fighting with Pansy's dad, which was kind of nice, but in typical Goku fashion, he borrowed from Naruto and did use some like friendjutsu, basically.
Yeah, talk no jutsu.
Talk no jutsu, yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty much the 2 episodes that we're covering this week. It was a lot more just kind of like driving things forward and not a whole lot of like serious things to talk about. I mean, it's not like we're gonna sit there and break down like, oh well, like the animation was really cool, because the animation was really good. The fights were really good, but I mean, there's not really a whole lot you can say about them other than they were real good.
The animation's been good the entire way through. The voice acting's been pretty good. I think
I feel like at this point,
finally,
yeah,
for the most part, got it.
Say that. Yeah, she's kind of like gotten back into the groove, and I've noticed that her deliveries have been much more classic, on point than they were like towards the beginning of Daima. So
I noticed
I'm happy about that.
I noticed when the fight scenes go on, she's a lot more into it. I think it's more like the talking scenes. Her age is kind of showing in the voice.
Yeah, I'm really interested. There's a scene. It's not going to be for another 2-3 episodes, but there's a whole bit that I'm going to be really interested to see how she plays that.
There was also I noticed the random Chris Sabat cameo at one point.
I didn't notice that.
I forget which character it was, but I heard the voice. I immediately went, "There he is."
Was it just like a random gendarmerie guy, or
some one of the background characters talked, and I was like, it's Chris Sabat. There he is.
Gotcha.
Because that's like my new favorite thing with the Crunchyroll dub is like I'll be listening and I'll just be like, "Where's the Chris Sabat cameo?" And then you hear,
where's he at?
Like me and Alex had well, we don't need the music anymore. Me and Alex had watched we saw that Kaiju number 8 movie. It was more of a recap, but there was a bonus little like short after the movie was over called Hoshina's Day Off, and there's a character in it that was voiced by Chris Sabat, and the second we heard his voice, both me and Alex audibly went in the theater.
There he is.
Like the random Chris Sabat cameo, because he has to appear in every Crunchyroll dub at least once.
For the most part. There's a few exceptions, but generally he's there somewhere, even if it's just a bit role.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to throw out. Oh, go ahead.
Go on.
I was just gonna say that I was mistaken. I think in the last episode when I said that or one of the previous episodes where I said that the last episode of Toriyama month would coincide with the final episode. It'll be released when that last episode comes out, but they'll all be recorded by the time that last episode comes out. So I think it'll be the first episode after Toriyama month.
Gotcha.
Will be the final Daima time.
Gotcha. So that being said, I guess now we should shift into the our official topic for the first Toriyama month episode. We alluded to it a bit in the start, but we got the next installment of our recap of Dragon Ball Super.
Yes,
Manga.
the manga. Yes. Which is the first manga original arc.
Wholly
Uh,
original, and my god, is it definitely different.
eh, I feel like for the most part, as far as super manga readers, generally the consensus is this is the best arc of the manga so
It's
far.
I can see why. I also this is definitely the point where I started to realize Toyotaro was definitely ghostwriting more and more by this point.
Well, I think he was really pushing for like especially like because I know we talked about last time how he was really kind of speed running through Tournament of Power. Like he just really wanted to get that done so he could get to the original stuff.
Hmm.
And you could definitely see like because he put a lot of time. This is definitely the longest arc we've had up to this point.
Yeah,
Not that it's particularly long. It's only like 5 volumes ish.
it's about as long as an anime arc would have been. Like this probably would have been a good like 12 or 13 episodes.
Yeah. Um, too long for a movie, but not long enough for like a full 25 episode season.
Hmm.
Um, although I guess that would depend on how they did it. So yeah, we're covering the Moro arc. So just like first impressions, I want to hear your first impression of how this goes.
So right off the bat, very interesting character, like villain. Like the villain is very interesting throughout this one. Completely new power set. Amazing character moments, particularly for Vegeta. Great battles. Fucking Goku's infuriating.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, overall though, pacing wise, it was really fun. Like overall, the entire arc is a quick read, but also a very fulfilling read. There's only one
Yeah,
point in it where I was pissed off, which is sad because I knew it was coming because I everyone brought it up when it happened initially, but it's still
yeah,
when I got there, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
yeah. Toyotaro really set the fan base on fire with that one.
Part of me is like, that was like the one Toriyama thing where Toriyama was like, he has to do that.
He has to give him a senzu bean. He has to do it. Fuck him. Um, yeah. So the opening of this arc was interesting too because it's just randomly like, oh, we get a call, and Majin Buu is being kidnapped, and it's like, first of all, it's like, wait, what? Like,
It also
who's
happens in the middle of the final chapter of the previous arc, which is bizarre.
yeah, and that actually happens, I believe, again at the end of this arc.
Yeah, it's just an odd placement.
Yeah, which is why like when I had to tell you like what the start and end points of the manga were, I was like, all right, it's this page of this volume instead of just saying chapters. I had to specify the page number so that we didn't like fuck it up.
Because I actually had to go back and reread that because when I started reading this from where I left off, I was like, wait, what happened to Boo? And I had to go back and be like, oh right, yeah, this
Mhm.
happened.
So yeah, the Galactic Patrol, of all people, were quote unquote kidnapping Boo, and they meet this guy who's in the Galactic Patrol who just like instantly takes them out in very similar fashion to the way the stun guns work in the Dime episode we just talked about. Just kind of like sneaks up on them and or like slips behind them real fast and zaps them. And they wake up and they're I think they're at Galactic Patrol HQ by that point.
Yes.
And they get this whole long-winded explanation about how there's this dude who's been around for like billions of years, and he's a wizard, which is, I mean, we've kind of had that a little bit before, but not like this. Like Bobbity was a wizard, but he kind of sucked.
Bobbity.
He's like a shitty wizard, like even shittier than Bibbity, who is also apparently shitty. Um, but Moro is the kind of wizard that kind of uses it as like an augmenting kind of situation.
Moro
So he's
is
basically a living spirit bomb.
Moro is one of those characters where you're like constantly throughout it, you're like, he can't get any more powerful. Fuck, he got more powerful.
Hmm.
Like, um,
Yeah, that happened a
also,
few times.
the Galactic King shows up again, and Goku grabs his dick again, and
Multiple times.
and he's just like, "You're doing this on purpose now."
We get like a 3 beat of him grabbing the Galactic King's dick. Even at the point when the King is holding out his
His
tentacle
hand,
hand
yeah, he's
for
like,
a handshake,
And he's
Goku
like,
still grabs the wrong one.
and he's like, "You're doing this on purpose now, I swear." I like how his
Yeah.
like character changed so much too, because the king was just a goofball in his last appearance, but now when it's like serious, he's like kind of a dick. He's like, yeah, we got the shit to do. Stop grabbing
Well,
my junk.
we do still have a really silly moment with him where like he's taking a bath and when they teleport into his bath and like he gets out and they're walking down. It's like, oh my god, Your Highness, you're in the nude, and he's like, ah, did the cover up thing. And they're like, quick, take this, and he puts on his crown. He's like, oh, thank God.
Goku's like, but you're in the. He's still nude. He's like, no, he's got his wonderful crown. What are you talking about?
That's actually where the reveal is officially pointed out that Jocko's like, what, did you think I was wearing pants this whole time?
Yeah.
It's like, no, Jocko actually just doesn't wear pants. He's actually mostly naked too.
And Goku's reaction, he's just kind of like, ah. Like he has no idea what to say.
Aliens.
There are points in this manga where I swear Goku gets stupider sometimes.
I still don't think he's in the manga. I still don't think he's as stupid as he was in the Super Anime. Super Anime took it above and beyond.
Yeah, he fucking Goku, I swear sometimes. The plus side though, Vegeta gets so much fucking development.
Oh, I love what they do with Vegeta in this arc. So yeah, we kind of start out with like they're learning about the whole Moro thing and they explain it, and then they stop a train robbery, which is kind of cool. Like that was a fun thing. We also saw a lot of interesting powers in general, like not just from Moro, but from all these other random bit villains. Like even just with the Macaroni Gang that they do in the train robbery is like one of them has stretchy arms, right? It was one of them had stretchy arms. One of them he basically had like kind of Gambit powers where he could like charge an item with energy and make it explode, which is kind of cool. I forget what the third one did.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
There was a lot of random powers that just kind of showed up in this arc, which is really interesting because we don't usually see that kind of thing. Usually it's just, energy blasts and punches, fancy transformations. It's usually Dragon Ball's bread and butter, but we got a lot of more interesting stuff here.
Yeah, that was fun. I like too that they inducted Goku and Vegeta as temporary members of the Galactic Police, and they were like, "Here's your uniforms." And they're like, "We ain't wearing that." He's like, "Well, fine, but you have to have the logo." And Vegeta's like, "No,"
which is extra funny too because like you can definitely tell that. I mean, some of it I'm sure is just Toyotaro just having fun, but I feel like a lot of it is just so they could have a new toy variation to sell.
Mostly, yeah. I mean, it's whenever like a character in a kid's TV show would get a different sword or like a motorcycle, like, ooh, new toys.
I mean, that's kind of why like the transformations became such an outrageous thing in Super, is just so they could sell more toys.
Oh yeah. I watched Power Rangers as a kid. I know how this works.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, they got motorcycles this episode. I wonder why.
Weird side tangent. Do you remember that little bit in time when we first started getting Dragon Ball toys here, and they would just like pack them with the weird accessories? Like we just have Krillin with like a Tommy gun for no reason.
Yeah. Kids toys were great back in the day because they did not give a fuck.
And they like nobody gave a shit about anime, so just like, oh well, fuck it, we need to give them something. Here's a boot. Like I don't know, fucking just random shit. So yeah, they do the whole train robbery thing, and they send them to the Galactic Prison, which ends up being important. And then they explain the whole thing about Moro, and Goku's like, oh, okay, well, I'm just gonna look for him, like key sense, look for him. And he's noticed. Like he's looking for him, he finds him, and Moro's like internal mind self just kind of like looks over. He's like, oh fuck, he noticed that I was looking for him. And just automatically, just from that scene, you're like, okay, this guy's something different. He's got something going on.
What'd you think of Moro's little accomplice there? I forget his name. It's some sort of
Cranberry.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cranberry.
The Frieza soldier that Zarbon killed when he kicked him away. Because and that's another thing I really love about like the little arc, like the anime or the manga original arcs that Toyotaro worked on, because whereas Toriyama forgets the big shit, like Super Saiyan 3 being a thing.
Yeah.
Toyotaru remembers these little details and he weaves them into the story in like in those ways, and I really like that he does that.
Hmm.
Because it's not something we usually. I mean, it kind of like harkens back a little bit to like when Dragon Ball was originally being serialized, because they would kind of they wouldn't do it to that extent generally, but like enough to the point where it was, noticeable.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, he's got Cranberry just kind of like chauffeuring him through the universe, and he informs him about Namek and their Dragon Balls. So they head to planet Namek because they can never catch a break.
Also, I love the fact that like there's multiple points where Cranberry is about to betray him, and I'm just like each time this happens, I'm just like, this guy's gonna die. Like there's no, he ain't living through this.
Yeah, and he didn't even. It wasn't even like a. Oh wait, would he have been? I think he was revived. Because at the end they use the Namek Dragon Balls to wish everybody that Moro killed back to life.
Did he already get brought back with those though?
With the Namek Balls, it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. Okay, fair. Maybe
So I guess Cranberry's alive again.
if he is, I don't will ever see him again.
He's probably in the Galactic Prison anyway. But
yeah.
so they go to Namek. And well, first of all, like, how do you feel about Moro's general character design? Because obviously it changes as we go through, but the general design that he's got going on, how do you feel about that?
He's like a goat at first, which was different. Um, he's like a weird hybrid between a goat and a monkey, kind of.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, he's a very old goat.
Yeah, well,
No,
'cause
no pun intended.
when we first see him, he's like decrepit, and that's part of like the I think the joke
Mhm.
is that it's supposed to kind of like you're supposed to not think he's as powerful as he is. Um, he's different. I'll give him credit. Like it's a design that we have not seen directly in Dragon
Even
Ball
though
yet.
even though by the end he's kind of like a Cell ripoff.
Well, yeah, because Dragon Ball, but his early form is pretty interesting. It's unique, and I like
Mhm.
that.
Oh, and we haven't really. I mean, obviously by this point he's not like a super important character, even though he has gotten some moments. But Miras also, like, those are the two biggest new characters we get is Miras and Moro.
Mirrors at first I thought was just a really competent galactic. I thought it was the joke with him originally was that he's like the only competent galactic patrol guy.
Yeah, right.
Because they're all pretty incompetent. But we find out later there's a lot more to him. I didn't catch that at first until I saw one of the cover, the manga cover that he's on, and I saw his coloring, and I went, "Oh, I see where this is going."
Well, see, when it was being released monthly, a lot of people didn't like. There was probably a few people who had theories about it, but like the fan base pretty much exploded saying he's an angel. Like, it was when he was training with Goku in the time chamber, and it was when he takes the fighting stance, and everybody noticed that that's the same fighting stance that Whis uses.
Yeah. Unfortunately, reading the physical mangas, like it kind of gives it away by his color scheme on the front of it. But
Yeah. Um. So I think does Vegeta start the fight with Moro? I think, right?
I thought Goku did.
I feel like Vegeta. No, it was Vegeta first because Vegeta went through like the main transformations, and by the time Goku joined in, they had lost so much energy that he couldn't even go blue.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
But one thing I did really like is that Vegeta is like acknowledging his sins.
Oh yeah, because he's chatting with the Namekians, and he's kind of pointing out. He's like, I've done a lot of awful things to this planet. I'm not going to let you ruin this planet again.
Yeah, like he brings that up a lot throughout this arc, and that will be like a recurring theme in the following arc as well, where he's talking about his sins and the things he's done and how he's trying to atone for all of it. And it it shows a lot of character growth for Vegeta, especially since Super kind of backtracked a lot of the growth that he had in like Z.
Yeah, I mean, Super, he still had growth, like character moments. This though, I was actually really shocked, like how much development he gets in this one arc alone. Because
Mhm.
like it's funny because in this arc, legitimately Goku is just Goku the entire time throughout this arc. Like he does not really develop much at all, aside from unlocking very well a certain power that that it's pretty obvious he's going to unlock it eventually.
Yeah.
Um,
It was only a matter of time.
Aside from that, though, it's typical Goku shtick where he's like, "Oh, I'm power of friendship. I'm dumb. I'm Goku. Haha."
Yep.
Um,
Sense of being.
yeah. Uh, Vegeta, meanwhile, though, goes through fucking like so much fucking development. Like I'm like this. If you didn't like Vegeta by this point, and you read this arc, you'd probably be like, "This is probably, I think, the point where you finally start to come around."
Mhm. But so yeah, Vegeta and Moro have their like little opening fight, and
The
oh
scene where he saves the little Namekian, that was like, holy shit! Like,
yeah, that was perfect, and that was actually like the most important Namekian in this arc.
hmm,
Um, but like right away, like the first thing that I really notice is the way Moro uses his magic, where he's like, yeah, he absorbs the energy from the planet and all the people on it and stuff, but he also can like utilize the energy without absorbing it, like he's basically like just summoning the energy of the planet and just kind of shooting it out of the ground and like summoning lava and shit, like something
yeah,
he does a lot, and it makes
it's
makes fighting him very difficult.
yeah. The thing when I was reading this, like that really got me. I was like, holy fuck! Like this guy is like, I'm like, he can't get any more powerful. And I'm like, holy fuck, he did.
Mm-hmm. That happens a lot.
I was thinking like the whole time, I'm like, holy shit, this is like an actual villain with like stakes. We haven't had this in a while.
Which is
Um,
funny too, because even like going through all the arcs that we've had up to this point, like every time we have one of these arcs, it's always, oh, we know how this ends. There's no real threat, whatever. Like we know like this is just the interim between the time skip. So, everything's gonna be fine by the end. But even with this arc, like even though we're still in that time period and we still know that, like at least subconsciously, it still felt like this is a big threat, especially because it was happening off Earth for a lot of it.
well, it's interesting that despite like the tournament of power being like the whole like thing with that being like the universe will get erased, the whole fight with Jiren, I was like, I never was like Jiren just is an angry strong guy. Like I was never
Yeah.
like the stakes were never super high because I knew you knew Universe 7 was going to win. This one I'm reading it. I mean, I knew obviously they're going to win in the end just because it's Dragon Ball, but the whole time I was like, how are they going to get out of this one? This guy is like
Hmm.
a legitimate threat. We have not seen a legitimate threat like this in a while.
Yeah. So very, very quickly, they figure out Moro's whole deal with his magic. Because all of a sudden they can't use their transformations anymore. It's like, oh fuck, like that's kind of like what we do everything with. Like without transformations, what the fuck are we even doing here? Might as well send in Jocko.
Just a little side note. So Alex is watching My Happy Marriage right now.
Yeah.
And she just got to episode 3 where they visit Kyoka's parents' house.
Oh yeah,
These angry texts I just got.
yeah.
The little first text I get is fuck this bitch. I hate the mom. Dumb bitch. How dare you hurt precious Mio? I was like, she's there.
God.
Oh boy.
Um.
I just
So
had to
yeah,
point
go.
that out because I was
Yeah.
like, oh, did you hear?
Yeah. So Goku and Vegeta get bodied pretty quick, and
Yeah.
they're out. They're knocked out for like 3 days,
There
which is
was that interesting point though where like Goku like does his classic, oh yeah, I'm not actually fighting at full strength because why would I do that? And even Moro's like surprised. He's like, huh? Like,
yeah. Um. But by the time they wake up, like Moro's got all but one of the Dragon Balls. The only one he doesn't have is the one that's in the room with them.
mm,
And it pretty much gets to a point where they realize, oh, he actually can just sense the Dragon Balls themselves, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
But and that's like it's like an extension of the magic deal though, because the Dragon Balls are magic. He uses magic, so it makes sense that he would sense magic. Um, which actually Moro had pointy ears, didn't he?
I don't remember what Moro looked like. The ears. I only remember the horns. Let me check real quick.
Because I mean that would make sense because every demon from the demon realm has some sort of magic.
Does he? Oh yeah, he does.
So well, there we go. Demon realm.
Yeah, that's the answer for everything.
Yep.
In Dragon Ball now. Um,
So that explains where his magic comes from. He's planet eater. That's what he does.
oh yeah, we forgot to mention too. The reason they kidnapped Boo is because Boo technically has the spirit of the Lord of Lords.
Yes, which apparently through aromatherapy and hypnosis they were able to awaken the Grand Supreme Kai within him. Awaken
Yeah,
those memories and eventually appearance, because apparently that can just happen.
yeah, and like they make a whole big deal about it, and then I'm like, oh, is this going to be a significant player? And then he immediately falls back asleep, and I'm like, oh no, I guess not.
Well, for a little bit he is, and at the end again.
Yeah,
But I gotta say, like the fandom blew up when these chapters came out because we had been blue balled with Boo so much throughout Super for years,
mm.
and then they finally gave him something.
Well, because his most epic moment in Super is when he gets all like fit and in shape, and then he immediately falls asleep, and it's like great.
Yep. So it was really cool seeing Boo do this shit again. And also like the reveal, like, oh, Boo uses magic. He's a Majin. He just happens to be, just because of the way he is, he's immune to the whole energy stealing thing. So like it made sense. Like, Boo is the guy right now. And they kind of have this whole plan where, because the great Lord of Lords, or whatever, the Lord of Lords, the Great and Supreme Kai, whatever you want to call him, is the one who stealed away Moro's magic originally, which is why he was weak when Boo showed up. Because that like sucked away a lot of his power. And well, it turns out that all of his godly power went to the evil Boo when they split. So
Yeah,
the good Boo had the personality and appearance, and the evil Boo had the power. But because evil Boo was so like instinctual, based like with how he behaved, he didn't know how to use it.
yeah,
So that's why he wasn't like god level, which will come back around later. Um, but because of that, the Grand Supreme Kai cannot use the sealing power again, and Moro, he gets his wish, he regains his power, and everyone's pretty fucked at that point.
yeah. And in very Dragon Ball fashion, um, Cranberry's like, "Can I get the last wish?" He's like, "Oh yes, yes, no worries. Let me just get my wish here." And then he's like, "By the way, psych, you're dead." And I was just like, "Yep, that was expected."
Well, you know what? Cranberry fucked himself with that one because he should have just used that. Because you know what? He wasn't in danger of dying. He was just hurting. All he had to do is use the first wish to say, "Take me somewhere where I'll never be found." Like, which was his plan for that last wish.
Well, I
It
mean,
was
there
like,
is
all
that
right,
point.
because he was planning on taking two wishes because he had the healing one and then he wanted to be wished somewhere safe. So, like, you're going to take two wishes when the boss man gets one? I don't think so.
Also, like the end there, like even earlier on, we had already seen like it was going to go badly for him because there's the point where he tries to escape and Moro's like, like you ain't
Yep,
going.
I think not. So yeah,
Um,
they get bodied and pretty much
Also, that fight, he makes that final wish, and they're like, "What was your final wish?" He's like, "Not telling." And I'm just
yep.
like, I'm like, this guy's such a prick, and I kind of love him.
And then it turns out he wished for minions. He had everyone in the galactic prison released, and he had already kind of like arranged with them before he broke out originally. Like, yo, I'm gonna get you all out here. When I do, y'all better come. And boy, do they.
See, I the whole time I was when that whole thing was going on, like when he didn't reveal the final wish, like the whole time I'm like sitting there going like, I like how he wrote it, where he leaves it very suspenseful for a while, and you're the whole time you're kind of like, what did he wish for? Like, what is this going to be? What's the secret this going to be? Then it ends up being kind of anticlimactic, but at the same time, it also is kind of like funny because it's like, oh, like that is actually kind of funny.
Well, it seems anticlimactic, I will say, but like as the story progresses and you realize, oh, he can, like, first of all, he can pick and choose who he's stealing energy from.
Hmm.
So, they're either staying the same or in certain cases being granted more power while all the good guys are losing power. So they are still very much a threat. Uh, and as I mentioned before, we got all these crazy new like abilities, which by the way, I was looking around and a lot of these characters are from the Demon Realm. Because a lot of pointy ears in that crowd.
Um,
Go on.
I love the fact too that we're just like kind of retroactively just saying that because for all we know, they were just given pointy ears for no reason.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the Daimo wasn't even in concept at this point, but
Yeah, but now we can
but
just
how
make that a thing.
but how you were saying when you were reading and you were sitting there like, what did he wish for? Like it was all the suspense. Keep in mind that these chapters were released monthly,
Oh yeah, that's
so
true.
that suspense was stretched out for a good 2-3 months,
True.
only for it to
Um,
be like, we did a prison break. That was the last wish.
it was kind
So
of
like,
it
yeah,
was
at first it seems very anticlimactic, but as the story progresses, you say, oh, this is actually kind of a big deal.
it was anticlimactic to the point where I actually found it so it was so anticlimactic that it was funny. That's kind of how I pictured it.
Yeah, well, one of these minions in particular is very important later, and
Yes.
also is the I won't get into it, but is also kind of the triggering character for the following arc as well.
Hmm.
I don't know if you read ahead a little bit, but
No, I stopped
yeah,
at the where this one ended. I
gotcha.
will say too, another fun point too is before they go out to try and stop Mora from making that final wish after they're healed up, um, Vegeta talks to the one of the elder Namekians, and he's kind of like asking just about like what his thoughts on him are and stuff. And they do the very Namekian thing where they're like, "Yeah, you were a bad person, but like
We don't
we're
believe in holding grudges.
yeah, we're not a hateful species." Um, which was nice. It's like you could tell like that meant something to Vegeta a little bit
Hmm, for sure.
because he's not looking for instant like gratification. He just wants to know that he is doing something right.
Yeah, he basically just wants there to be an understanding and make it known that he's doing his best to not make things right, but to do what he can to atone in general.
Yeah,
Which it definitely
because
shows a ton of character growth for Vegeta because he laughed about killing that village back in the Namek saga. Like
well,
he thought it was hilarious.
because you think about it, because the little Namekian, I forget his name, um,
Eska.
Eska.
They
Eska is
just think
basic.
escargot. They're all
Yes,
named after snails.
yes, because Eska is like a kind of like a he's a parallel of Dende, and
Mhm.
Dende was traumatized by Vegeta. So
Oh yeah.
it's very interesting that this character that's supposed to be like the new Dende for this arc is like he worships Vegeta because Vegeta saved his life basically.
Mhm. Although
Which
if memory serves, I believe back in Battle of Gods when they were debating whether or not Vegeta was a pure Saiyan, I'm pretty sure Dende was the one who spoke up for him. So
well Dende
that
well I mean Dende's a Namekian. They don't hold grudges.
he's also God. So I mean, there's that.
True. I mean the only Namekian that like has a character outside of their normal shtick is Piccolo. So
Yeah.
but Piccolo's kind of
And
a
I
weird
guess to a
Namekian.
lesser degree, Nail, but now they're the same character, so whatever.
Well, yeah, they're both the same guy at this point. So
Um,
Piccolo is just a weird. Piccolo is a weird Namekian
mhm.
because
Yeah, he's kind of an enigma in their race.
he's like four different characters in one.
Yeah, technically, because you got, there was the original Nameless Namekian, then he split into Kami and King Piccolo, and then King Piccolo reincarnated himself into this Piccolo, and then he fused with Nail, and then he refused with Kami, so then he's the Nameless Namekian again, but he's also part Nail. It's weird.
Yeah,
Um, so this is the point where they all kind of bail because they know that they're not getting anywhere, and they're all going to die if they stay. So training arc time.
Yeah, so when Vegeta goes his separate way, like, because they immediately like Goku's like, all right, I'm gonna go with the Galactic Police. You coming, Vegeta? And Vegeta's like, no, I'm going off on my own. I'll see you later.
Hmm.
Um,
And
I
like
did, I did
when
not,
that name drop, yeah, that name drop that he was going to Yardrat,
yeah,
like
I did not expect that. I was like, oh, is he gonna learn instant transmission? And it was like, well, no, but what kind
no,
of,
but yes.
sorta. Um,
He's like, I'll do it once and only once.
I,
um,
I, I loved Vegeta's training arc on Yadrat though.
we get Vegeta in the Yardrat outfit.
I know, and he's like fine with it. It's weird how he was all salty about the fucking logo on the space logo on his normal outfit, but then like he's perfectly up. Well, because he's so into the training that he's like, yeah, okay, this is fine.
I do like that they used both designs for the Yardrats
Hmm.
because because we had the original like anime design for the Yardrats that we got glimpses of back in Z. But there was also in the Dragon Ball MMO, Dragon Ball Online, Toriyama had done his own design for them, and that's what the like more rounded version.
Hmm.
That's what those are, and I like that they incorporated both for that.
Yeah, I like honestly like Vegeta's interactions on Yardrat were really interesting because like they basically were like, yeah, you were kind of a space prick, but you've definitely changed, and we're gonna train you. And I love
Mhm.
the fact that like Vegeta is actually like they note multiple times that Vegeta is actually a better student than Goku was.
Well, yeah, because he was only there for what 2 months,
Yeah,
if
like
that,
pretty
and Goku
pretty
was there
quick.
for like over a year, and all Goku learned was like the most basic of basic techniques.
Well, because Goku doesn't actually want to learn like stuff like that. He wants to just punch things.
And Goku actually had a higher like I guess you could say a higher base stat when it came to spirit uh, balance. I guess you could say because Vegeta's all over the place, with his emotions and with his
Well,
spirituality and stuff.
that's a whole big point they bring up is like he has to find his inner balance, and like once he does, it's like holy shit, you're actually way stronger than you thought.
Hmm. And like
Which
once you get that balance, it's like, oh, okay, so you might have actually been stronger than Goku this whole time and just didn't have the right control over it.
hmm. Yeah, it was really cool. And also I like the fact that they kind of keep secret the move he learns. Like they because they get to the I guess we'll just do Vegeta's arc and then we'll talk about Goku after for simplicity
Yeah,
rather
because
than jumping
Goku's
back.
arc, there wasn't really a whole lot with Goku's arc anyway.
Goku's arc had less to do with him and more to do with the character who was training him than anything.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, but
Um,
we get the whole thing where it's like they because they show Vegeta like training and he's struggling at first, but like they're like, no, you're making good progress. It's like you just have to find that balance.
mhm.
And then once he does, it's like, oh wow, you mastered this move, like this like very powerful move. And the whole time I'm like, we're thinking like, what is it? Like, tell us, please.
Yeah, it's like the most advanced move they have. Which, by the way, the Yardrats, like even taking that one move out of the equation, they got some stacked technique. I'm surprised Goku didn't go back there. Like, why
Well, they're
didn't he go
not
back and learn some more of this shit?
because they're not fighters, and I think
That
that's
doesn't
why.
matter. That doesn't matter.
Well, Goku would rather punch something.
Instant transmission is like one of his most like used techniques. That's like one of the only techniques he uses like repeatedly.
Well,
It's pretty much instant transmission and Kamehameha. That's about it.
this is Goku. He's like he's
He
like
probably
yeah.
forgot they existed.
Well, no, he knows they existed because they've read the Tournament of Power. He notices the ones that are
That's
there.
true. That's
But it's
true.
probably more of a case where he's like, well, I already got the move I needed. I just want to punch shit because this is Goku we're talking about.
But I'm just saying, like he could have had like they have like healing powers. They have like they can adjust their size, like bigger or smaller. They could make like shadow clones, basically. Like they got all these different crazy techniques, and I doubt that's all they got. I'm sure there's more. Like
I
I'm
think
just
it's
saying, like they should have really utilized that more,
I
especially
think
with
it's
how Goku jumps masters so much.
yeah. I think a lot of it's more just Goku just kind of his inner like makeup is like he just wants to find the strongest thing,
Yeah, that's true. Goku's preferred method of training is all
punch it,
physical anyway.
punch it.
He likes
Uh,
to spar and he likes to do push-ups and sit-ups and drink plenty of juice.
well, this is actually the point where you kind of realize Vegeta. theoretically is probably a stronger fighter, just because of the fact that he's not only now that he actually has all his like baggage like fixed up. Um, you also remember like, oh yeah, Vegeta's really smart, and he actually like uses his brain more often than Goku does.
Because if we look all the way back to the beginning, part of the reason, or actually a large chunk of the reason why Vegeta was so salty about Goku is because Vegeta was the actual prodigy. Goku was the low level. Like Vegeta actually has that in him. It's just that his pride was too fucking over bloated to accept help from other people.
Hmm.
Like he had to do it by himself, and that's why he was so stunted for so long. Now that he's at a point where he says, "Okay, I need, I need to be able to learn from other people to improve myself." And we got that. He was the one who approached Whis. Goku didn't approach him. Vegeta did. So that was like the big kind of like opening part of that where he realized like I got things that I need to improve on, and that's part of his character arc, his character growth.
He also tries to be a dad. Like
That too, yeah.
he tries. He doesn't just let Chi Chi do everything.
And also a couple of some of Moro's goons show up on the planet while he's training, and that was kind of like the big like kind of similar to like when Gohan was getting the power boost from the old Kai and he got mad real quick and he was like, "Oh shit, this actually works." We had kind of that moment where Vegeta just goes to shoot like a regular ass blast and it ends up being like a fucking
Yeah, and the people, the Yardrat's like, please don't destroy our planet.
yeah, right. Yeah, he fights Zarbon's space cousin or some shit because it's like literally just Zarbon.
He goes over to the abandoned building district.
Yep. Yeah, he beats the shit out of those guys, and then they get killed by like a fucking Ferris wheel or some shit.
We'll save the how Vegeta his arc ends for when it's relevant because there is a bit of a gap before we get there.
Mm-hmm.
I figure now we should probably head over to because he masters the move, and then we kind of there some stuff happens between there.
Mm-hmm.
So Goku is mostly training with what's his name?
Mirrors.
Mirrors. And the whole time, like, we get a whole bunch of like we get a lot of commentary from Whis and Beerus, where Beerus is like, "Oh, something happening. I don't want to be bothered. I'm fishing."
Yeah, because like Whis like mentions something to Beerus. He's like, "Oh, Beerus, like some shit's going down. You want to check this out?" And he's like, "I want to go to Namek. They don't eat. They don't have food. Fuck them. They can just die for all I care."
He's like, "Oh, someone else is destroying the planet. Good. I don't have to do it."
Yeah, I'm busy killing time.
He's like, "I'm fishing," and then the sire's like, "You can't use your hands. Like that's cheating."
It's cheating. Oh,
Beerus, I find it really funny how Beerus started the Super Saga started with Beerus being the ultimate enemy, and now he's just comic relief.
Pretty much, yeah. So yeah, the Goku starts his whole thing because he's like suspicious of Mirrors because Mirrors has been showing kind of like not really showing his true power, but that's kind of what makes him suspicious in the first place is because he's kind of like casual about everything he does.
Yeah.
So he decides like I want to test you, and like they do a little sparring, and Goku takes it all the way to like God form, and Mirrors is keeping up the whole time. So he's like, all right, something's not right here. Like we're gonna go and we're gonna train, and you're gonna train me.
It's always really entertaining the amount that like God form appears towards like the latter half of the manga because it's just so funny because it was the thing they needed like this whole ritual to get, and then now Goku it's just like another effortless thing for him.
I think it's kind of funny, like how often it appears in the manga in general, because it took until the like mid tournament of power for it to show up again in the anime. But like Vegeta does it in the Universe 6 tournament, like super early on. And like it's just continuously used throughout. So
yeah, because
which I like, because honestly, I feel like I don't know if this is the right time to get into it, but in my opinion, man, Super Saiyan Blue, even though it's like literally like the go-to form in Super, it's kind of like bottom tier transformations for me. Like I don't like Blue that much.
aesthetically it looks cooler than God form in animation wise, just because it has that cool like aura to it.
I disagree. I think the aura is too much.
Yeah,
I like the God aura where it's like flame.
I think the thing about God form that throws me off is how they're all like weird and like skinny and spindly when they have it. I'm just like, Like, yeah, it's weird.
Well, it made sense in context. And Toriyama generally prefers like the smaller characters. That's why every time they like have a new guy, it's like the smaller form is always the strongest form. It happened with when Vegeta and Nappa were introduced. Vegeta was the stronger of the two. Frieza, his strongest form was very small and sleek. Cell's buffest form was like kind of the dumbest form, but his final form was like skinny, you know? Even Kid Buu, like Buu goes from this big, huge, tubby guy to this tall, muscly guy, and then his final form is small. You know, it's just kind of Toriyama's thing.
Yeah, I don't know. The forms never really bothered me. I think it's more I'm just like annoyed that Super Saiyan 4 got retconned out of existence, but
Yeah.
because that was like the only thing from GT that people wish stuck around.
Hmm.
Just because it was aesthetically cool.
Yeah.
Um,
So
but
yeah,
yes,
Goku and Miras, they go train, and Miras takes him to this planet. He's like, "All right, we're gonna go into this thing," and Goku's like, "Oh shit, I know this thing. This is the Room of Spirit and Time."
it's
And he's
it's
like, "Oh, you
basically
know about this?"
it's like the hyperbolic time chamber, but not as effective because it's not like a full like a days a year thing. It's like
It's a day is 3 days,
yeah,
so they get 2 months of outside time to train before Moro shows up on Earth. So they get a total of 6 months in the chamber. Um, and we don't
Goku's
really see any of the training in the chamber until later. We get some flashback stuff.
the amount of training Goku's done in the time chamber at this point. Has he like re-gotten back to his actual age he should be by this point?
If you include the time chamber training that he does with Vegeta in Super, at least close to it.
Yeah, because I know he technically lost a bunch of years but being dead, but like he's got to be close to like his actual age again at some point.
In this Super anime, he's at least regained 4 of those years from the time chamber.
Hmm. Okay.
Because he spent three years in there with Vegeta leading up to the Universe 6 tournament. Remember when they
Right.
came out, they had the beards?
Yeah. Yep.
Um so yeah, we didn't really get a whole lot of that. So they're just kind of doing their thing. But we also get some stuff on Earth because some of Moro's goons. Well, first of all, Moro's goons have been just kind of like spread across the galaxy looking for planets for Moro to eat. So Moro's just eating planets left and right this whole time, just getting stronger and stronger. He lost his beard, which was sad because I liked that part of his design.
Hmm.
But he's like young and buff again. Um, and we get introduced to a bunch of these random goons. Most of them are kind of inconsequential, but there's a few that are important. And the Macaroni Gang, actually, the same ones that we met from the train robbery, they show up on Earth because they heard from somewhere, I don't remember, that they had Sky Gold there or Blue Orium, which is the shit they were stealing on the train in the first place.
Hmm.
So they show up, and Piccolo notices them. He's like, "Fuck these guys," and he tells them to go away. Only for him to immediately be informed, "Hey, these guys work for Moro. Don't let them go." And they had already made the call to report what was going on. So then we get the other guys don't matter, but the one guy in particular shows up, 7-3,
Yeah. And
and he is
you could
super
tell
important.
yeah, you could tell by his design right away that you're like, oh, this guy is definitely the one that matters here.
Hmm. Because it turns out that he is an artificial life form. He's an android, an actual android, not a cyborg. And he has an ability where if he grabs somebody by the neck, he pretty much copies all of their strength and abilities and adds it to his.
It's
And
like
it
the
only lasts
most
for 30 minutes, but it's pretty OP.
yeah, it's like when I saw what that power was, I was like, are you fucking like really? I'm like, okay, sure. Why not at this point?
Yeah. And he instantly gets Piccolo's power. So he's like, okay, so I got the stretchy arms, I got the special beam cannon, I can regenerate, do all that shit. Um,
And then
and he,
Gohan shows up.
yeah, we get more Gohan with the purple gi. I don't think he wears the orange gi at all in the manga, actually,
Yeah, I don't think so. Well,
which I kind of prefer.
Did he during
Hmm?
Battle of Gods?
No, because he was just in a no, because in the movie in the arc, yes, but in the manga, it skipped over that whole fight with Beerus. It skipped straight to
Okay.
the god stuff.
Right. Yeah. So he probably. Yeah. I don't think
Yeah,
he does.
we got a very truncated version of Battle of Gods in the manga.
I don't know if they showed the ritual at least.
Kind of. I don't know. I don't remember if he was wearing that though. I don't remember.
It doesn't really matter.
Not really. But either way, Gohan's actually doing pretty well for a little
Yeah.
bit.
He's
And
he's he's actually he discovered work-life balance.
yes, which is instantly which is almost immediately retconned in Superhero, which is one of the reasons I was so pissed about that.
Yeah. But I mean, at least he still has kept his training up for the most part this time around.
Yeah. Uh, so
I love
you know
that
they have
when he fights though, he's immediately competent. I'm like, oh, thank God! Like we don't need.
yeah, we don't have any of that bullshit again.
Um, that's a pretty good fight too. I
Hmm.
enjoyed Gohan versus what's the guy's name? It's the number
7-3.
7-3. For some reason, I keep thinking it was 7-Eleven, but that's a gas station.
Yep.
Um,
uh, ultimately, Gohan does not win out, but Moro tells his guys to go away because he wants to eat that planet.
yeah,
So they get left alone, and it's fine. And they end up they're given 2 months before Moro shows up,
Hmm.
and that's kind of where we leave it because we do a little time skip with all the different training arcs going on because we got the Earth crew getting ready. We got Goku training with Mirrors, and we got Vegeta and Yardrat. And then we jump forward to the final fight, and we kind of get this big, like, epic gathering of the heroes of Earth.
Well, before that though, we have the scene where Goku and Miras are fighting, and Whis takes an interesting interest in this
Yeah,
to
he
the
just kind
point.
of shows up randomly, and it's just like, no, no, no. And this is where we learn that angels aren't allowed to try, because if they do, they'll die.
Yes, yeah, because they have to be neutral. They can't show.
Which is why we will never, ever, ever see Whis' true strength.
Well, yeah, because he Whis is the best character for that reason because he's a badass and doesn't actually have to do anything.
He's literally not allowed to do anything, and not even to the extent that like the Supreme Kai aren't technically allowed to do anything. He will literally die if he tries. So
Yeah. Well, it's like how he trains Goku and Vegeta. He's like, "Well, I'll train you, but you have to do something for me. Like,
mhm,
make me some
pretty much.
food."
And even then, like he's usually just using a finger anyway. So
Yeah, he's not actually. He's just watching. He's like, "Yeah, do that."
yeah, pretty much.
Like the only
Um,
time Whis really does anything is when he turns time back, and that's mostly just like he could get away with small things like that.
yeah, well, that's an ability. That's not like that rule is more in terms of strength, like
Hmm.
combat. You know,
True.
because they need to have. I mean, that part of the reason they have that power is because they're the attendants to the gods of destruction. I mean, most of the time when Whis uses it, it's because Beerus like rolled over in bed and accidentally blew up the sun next to their planet. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so yeah, so like we get the big like, oh wait, well, first of all, Whis tells him to stop it, and is like, oh yeah, by the way, Goku, Beerus is an angel. He's my little brother, and I'm taking him by.
Yeah. Because I know. Because before that, he goes up and visits the head angel and is basically like, "Can I take care of this?" And the guy's like, "Sure." See what
Why
happens.
not? So then Goku's just like, shit, I don't know how to pilot a fucking ship. I
Oh
don't know how to
yeah, I
pilot
love
this
that
shit.
scene. He's like, "How do I get home?"
He's like, no, Whis, come back. I need you.
You know, to be honest, when I saw that, I was like, "Good." He deserves to struggle every now and then.
Yeah, right.
He'll figure it out.
But yeah, then
Um,
we go back to Earth and we get the gathering. It's a group gathering of the Galactic Patrol and Earth's mightiest heroes, including Yamcha and Chaozu.
and the androids, 17 is back. I was like, "Oh, cool, 17's actually gonna do shit."
Well, they were a surprise.
True.
They kind of pop in like once the fighting actually starts. And oh, we didn't mention this because 7-3 also had a secret stash of Moro's power, and that's why Gohan lost.
Yes.
Um,
That won't be important later.
no, not at all.
Um,
So yeah, Gohan and Piccolo are fighting 7-3 again. But they have worked out a bunch of cool combo moves, including Gohan learned like how to make like an energy shield, which is pretty sweet. Like I like that Gohan's actually coming up with new techniques. And
yes.
he also stole the Galactic Donuts,
Yes.
which I don't think that actually comes into play until later, but I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. I did enjoy that. One funny scene that happens here is there's a brief moment where like all of the non-fighters are up on the lookout,
Hmm.
watching because they have like cameras all over the place to showcase the fight. And there's a really great scene where like Chi Chi's one fucking cameo in this entire arc is she's up there and she's like, "Ooh, can I see the fight? I want to see how Gohan's doing." And she's like, "I didn't want to watch the Krillin channel."
That was pretty great, yeah.
I was like, I'm like, damn, Chi Chi, don't roast the poor guy.
Krillin was fighting a panda bear. I think he's supposed to be like somewhat related to Botamo from Universe 6. Like it's supposed to be
Hmm.
like of that species.
Oh, we
Uh,
forgot about earlier the scene where Bulma goes to visit her sister to go yell at Jocko.
oh yeah, we got a tights cameo.
I love how like they're just chilling, like hanging out with what's Vegeta's daughter's name? I can't remember the name.
Yeah, Bra.
Bra. I love how like they're just chilling in the background, like playing with Bra, and then fucking Bulma's just fucking raging on the fucking phone. I'm like,
Hmm.
this is a perfect dynamic.
Yeah, I was debating what name I should do, but we're talking about the manga, so it's Bra. If we were talking about the English dub of the anime, it'd be Bulla.
Yeah, that's why I always forget because they cheat.
Well, they changed it partly because of just like the way that they like not Americanized names, but kind of like English size some names. But
Meanwhile,
also because they didn't want to give her the name Bra, because then if people were going on the internet looking up the character, they'd just show up a bunch of women's underwear.
yeah. Well, if you were in Spain, if you looked up Chichi, you'd be tits. So
Yeah,
good old milk sand.
I think they
Is that
make that joke at one point.
probably? Um,
So yeah, we got Krillin's fighting the panda bear. Roshi's fighting the little trio of ladies because of course he is.
oh, actually,
Um,
I forgot that that Bulma scene too. She's hanging out with Mr. Satan or yeah,
they call him Hercule in the manga.
Hercule the entire time.
That's just the carryover of the old localization.
Yeah. I did find it really funny though that like there's one point where Bulma's like Hercule, you go do that, and he's like, no,
Yeah,
I'm sure someone else will handle it.
little Krillin just gets knocked through the lookout, and they're just looking in the hole, like, "Are you okay down there?"
Yeah, poor Krillin.
um, and Tien, I believe Tien and Chaozu were fighting the Metal Man.
Hmm.
There's another Metal Man, like from Universe 6.
Yeah,
Um, and I love the joke that Tien not only cannot tell a good joke, as we learned back in the Namek Saga, but he also can't insult people.
yeah,
So he's just got like no personality, apparently.
yeah. I mean, he always kind of hasn't, but I did enjoy like. Unfortunately, it's not canon in the manga, but like the anime segment where we go to his school and like he has his own
Mm,
like Chi Chi running around.
yeah. Um, but I mean, that also gives Chaozu the opportunity to do something because
Hmm.
Chaozu apparently can throw some shade. And Yamcha's just kicking ass. Like he just like beats a bunch of the guys and just like, all right, guys, you can take them away.
I was expecting him to get like super big headed and then like get like owned, but I was like, oh no, they didn't do that.
They gave him. I mean, he did ultimately get owned, but I mean, he did pretty good. He did better than I expected.
Hmm. We also got that scene with Roshi, which I thought was fun.
Which one?
The scene where he's fighting with the well, at first he's like the somewhat attractive aliens. He's like, ooh, he does his Roshi thing, and then they fuse into that abomination. He's like, you can take this one.
Yeah.
I'm not interested anymore.
Well, at one point, like Krillin was like, why don't you do the like the faux Ultra Instinct thing that you did against Jiren?" And he's just like, for some reason, I can't concentrate on that. And it's like, I don't know why. They must be using some sort of voodoo on me. She's like, no, I don't think that's what's happening.
Yeah.
I think you just have a
was,
boner.
yeah. There was some funny stuff there.
So he ends up putting on a blindfold and he starts like Ultra Instincting all over the place.
Yeah. No, that was fun. I liked that the fights were super varied. Like there was a whole bunch going on, but like you could still follow it.
Like this whole bit felt like what we get with like modern shonen, where like they really take the time to say there's all these different villains. It's not just the main villain and everybody fighting, and then all the side characters get beat up. It's like they all have their own things to overcome, and they overcome them. They're just not up to par to fight the main guy, which is fine. You know, as long as they're given something important to do, that's fine. You know, we don't need them to be fighting head to head with the main guy.
Yeah. Although eventually Moro does arrive on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, so Gohan and Piccolo are fighting 7-3, and then 7-3 switches to Moro's power again, and they immediately back off, and 17 and 18 jump in because, like, hey, we don't have the same kind of key as everybody else, so you can't steal it because we are also androids.
Kind of. Yeah.
Kind of. Cyborgs, whatever. Our energy is different, so you can't steal it.
Our physiology changes whenever Toriyama decides. So
yeah, we don't get tired except for when we do. Fuck you.
But even then, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But yeah, ultimately Moro shows up and just starts bodying everybody.
Also, I like the implication too, where it's implied that Goten, Trunks, and I assume Krillin's daughter are still watching the island.
Yeah, just whenever they need 17 for something, they just send the kids over there, and they always have like the full outfits and everything every time they go.
There's a cover. One of the covers shows Goku in that outfit, and I'm like, these covers lie. Like so many of these covers lie.
Well, I mean that's just kind of how Dragon Ball covers have always been.
True.
For the most
part. One of the ones for this arc is them in a theme park. I'm just like, yeah, okay.
I mean, they went to a theme, or at least Vegeta went to a theme park in the anime.
True, but not during this arc.
No. So yeah, Moro shows up, starts bodying everybody, and then Goku shows up, does the Goku thing, and just like whoops all the guys that they were struggling with.
Then we find out Goku has semi-mastered Ultra Instinct.
He has the first level of Ultra Instinct, like the gateway, so to speak. Ultra Instinct Sign is the official name. I still think they should have was Silver Eyes. I don't know. It's a lot more effective in the anime, but I still think I prefer this form over the final form of Ultra Instinct, as far as like appearance goes. It's just something about him just having that like kind of basic look, but like it's all about the vibe. You know, if we were talking solo leveling, it's all about the aura. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's interesting too because like Goku is holding his own for the most part, but you can tell it's kind of implied that Moro's not actually going full out right now.
Yeah, and once he does, it's like very obvious that. Well, the thing is because he's using Ultra Instinct, for some reason he's going so fast that he can't absorb his energy. Apparently that's how that works, even though he's still technically on the planet, so it should still take it from him, but whatever. He's real fast. He's real fast though. But he can dodge air. It's cool.
But during this whole time, we finally get a follow up on what Vegeta's doing. And Vegeta's finished his training and he's getting ready to go back, but he then realizes that the attack's already started. Well, at
Mhm.
first, Moro's not there yet, and he's like, "All right, I need to learn. I need to get back quickly." And they're like, "Well, we can't teleport you because that goes against our rules." Um,
Yeah, we can't leave.
yeah. So then, Vegeta's like, "Okay, fine, I'll learn instant transmission." And they're like, "But that'll take forever." He's like, "Yeah, but I'm the fastest student you ever had. I can totally figure it out."
Yeah, but I'm
Um,
way better than Kakarot. I'll learn it in 5 minutes.
yeah. So they start doing that, and eventually Moro enters the field, and Goku goes Ultra Instinct sign. And then that triggers with Vegeta where he goes, "Oh shit, I have to go." And they're like, "But you haven't figured it out yet." He's like, "I've done enough. I can do this." They're like, "No, don't worry. We'll break the rules just this once because it's a matter of life or death." And he's like, "No, I can do it."
No, I
And
need to do this for me.
and he legit pulls it off. Like, well, after they give him back, they changes back to his regular outfit, and they basically tell him like he's a good guy.
He took a trip into a trash can first, but
It's true. I forgot he fucked it up the first time.
but yeah, he makes it. But he actually pulls a Goku and shows up last minute to save the day.
And I
Very
love
Goku
his line
fashion.
to Goku where Goku's like, "Vegeta, you learned instant transmission." He's like, "Just this once. I'm not stealing your move. I got my own. I'm
Yeah,
never gonna
I'm
use it
not like
again."
I'm not like you, Goku. I don't or Kakarot. I don't steal everyone's moves and use them all the time. Like this is an emergency. It's an exception.
I do love that
Um,
though, where he's just like, I love their relationship in this part of the Super Manga is really fun because they're over there. They're just like petty rivals now. They're over their actual hatred for each other.
yeah. Well, I don't think Goku ever really hated him. I think Vegeta just really hated him like a lot.
Well,
And
because
then at this point, they're just kind of
Goku's fucking stupid, and it just
at this point they're more like it's more like a sibling rivalry than anything.
yeah. There's a mutual respect because of their power, even if
Mm,
Vegeta gets annoyed by him because at this
yeah,
point Vegeta's just annoyed by how stupid he is more than anything.
yeah, that's true. Um, so this is where Vegeta steps into the fray, and
We see Vegeta's
at
power.
first,
Well, yeah,
at
not
first, it doesn't seem like he's really changed. I mean, obviously he's stronger, but so is Moro. So ultimately, we're seeing the same results at first. But the longer the fight goes out, Moro's getting worn down, and Vegeta seems to be staying the same. We ultimately end up learning that the move that Vegeta learned is called Forced Spirit Fission,
hmm.
which is essentially the anti-Spirit Bomb. It basically cancels out. Basically, it will force any person that it's used on to revert to their natural state of whatever solitude state that they have. So the more he comes into contact with Moro, the more he hits him. He's just knocking out more and more of the energy that he had eaten over all that time. And apparently, also would defuse a fused character, even like Namekian fusion.
Yeah, because he threatens Piccolo by like when Piccolo questions it, he's like, "Yeah, I can separate you back to the way you were if I felt like it."
Yeah, exactly. So like all of a sudden, and this totally fits with Vegeta's character too, because he's very big on like he hates the concept of fusion. He hates the concept of like sharing power and everything like that, which kind of like gets, he kind of trips over that bit at the end. But the whole concept of like, you should fight as you on your own, and that's how it should always be.
It's
And
also a
Goku kind of
move.
feels that way too, but like Vegeta's like way more like about it.
It's also a cool thing for Vegeta too. Is like it's a move that's like exclusively his. Like he has figured this out, and this is going to be his thing now.
Exactly. And it works really well for him too. And it's very versatile too, as we learn as it's going.
It's also such a non-Goku move that like it really kind of fits with this whole like Vegeta's really figured like Vegeta's finally like getting past his mental like barriers that he's had, and he's actually like finally progressing as a character.
Yeah. And we'll learn later on, but it also can be used as kind of like a reverse spirit bomb, where like you can take energy that's offered, and instead of forming it into an attack like Goku does with the spirit bomb, he can just kind of like transfer it to a person and kind of like refill their meter, so to speak.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
We also find out too all that energy that he expelled from Moro it has actually returned back to where it came from, including the Namekians that hadn't been destroyed. They all come back to life, which is nice.
Yeah, anyone who wasn't killed personally and died from just the lack of energy, they all get revived from that, which is pretty cool.
Hmm.
But apparently it only works with like species with like really strong life force, which just so happens the Namekians are one of those, which makes sense because they're a durable race. They've been through some shit and they're regenerative powers, so it makes
Hmm.
sense. Apparently, the
Yeah,
Dragon Balls preserve dead bodies.
sure. um, whatever.
That's the
Demon,
explanation they give us, even though
Demon
if that
World.
was the case, nobody on Earth would ever rot. But apparently, that's not how it works.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
because
there's just
wasn't
too
that
many.
what was the plot bullshit of how they preserved Roshi, Krillin, and Chatsu's
They made
bodies?
like special capsules for it, but
Right.
at the same time, like they didn't have Dragon Balls for most of that arc
Yeah.
because Piccolo killed the dragon.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Stuff like that.
Whole complicated shenanigans. Um,
Toriyama did not expect it to go where it went at that point.
So yeah, see, like Moro's really on the ropes. He's kind of freaking out. Like he's getting his shit handed to him, and he kind of like does like a fake out and like uses like the power of the planet to kind of like a smoke screen kind of situation and kind of slips away. And motherfucker just straight up eats 7-3 whole.
Yeah, because we remember he has that exact copy of Moro before he get the power drain, just hanging out in his system.
Mm-hmm.
Like that wasn't gonna be important. Oh
So this
wait,
is where he kind of just becomes like Cell 2.0 kind of situation.
it's an interesting design. Like it's not exactly Cell, but it's kind of like a mixture of Cell and like Evil Boo. Like
I'd say kind of like Cell and Frieza because he's got like the weird like line things, or maybe that's
yeah,
cooler. I don't remember.
it's a
Um,
it's a Toriyama ass design. That's like the most.
yes. Well, I also say it's very Cell like because 7-3 had already copied Piccolo's power, he gained the regenerative powers. And he also can steal. He can also copy people's powers like 7-3 can. So he pretty much is just an amalgamation of other people's powers at this point,
I felt so
which is
bad for Vegeta here too, because it's like every time like he has this awesome moment, some bullshit just completely takes it away from him.
yeah. I mean, he got the win in superhero.
Thank God, the one
Not against
time.
the villain, but he beat Goku, so that's something.
I mean, that honestly, I think he cares more about that than any villain. So
Except maybe Frieza.
true. Oh yeah,
But who
Frieza
knows?
did.
Frieza's alive right now, so who knows? Maybe Vegeta will kill him.
Frieza
We'll see.
cameoed in this arc for like 3 seconds. So
Yeah, he was just like, well, I'm not fucking with that. Let's go this
yeah,
way.
Frieza's like, the monkeys are there. I already don't want to deal with them, and there's something more powerful. No, I'm gonna
I'm
go
gonna go
different.
that way.
Yeah, it's really funny how like all of the main arc villains are just becoming comic relief.
Yeah, for sure. Um. So yeah, Moro is just fucking outrageous at this point.
Moro got his first reset button of this arc.
Mhm.
Um, and then this is when Miras decides, fuck life. I'm going to do what matters to me.
Yeah. Oh, one thing that happens a lot in this arc, and we haven't really called much attention to, is that Moro just constantly is sticking his arm through people's chests.
Oh yeah, we forgot about the fucking like Namekian that like fused together, and it was like their final hope, and he killed it before he even looked at it.
He literally just like reached behind him and just fucking impaled him.
Yeah, I
But
was
he
like,
does that to a lot of people throughout this arc. He's just constantly just shoving his arm through people's chests.
yeah, I mean it's
He does it to
effective.
Goku. He does it to Goku here. Well, it wasn't
Oh
as
yeah,
effective as he wanted it to be here, but
well, because Goku has fuck you energy and just like can win no matter what.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, the so like it ends up becoming like another case of like it's like what are they gonna do, and then Miras decides I'm going to enter the battlefield even though Whis told me I'd die because this is what I stand for.
because I inherited, I developed a sense of justice from working with the Galactic Patrol.
Yeah.
Apparently, that can just happen.
Like, and there's that really hilarious scene where like Moro tries to steal his power and touches him on the back of the neck, and then he cuts his arm off, and he immediately is like, "Enough of that."
Yep, he's like, no more of that.
It's like I'm sure
He's
that
like,
won't be
okay,
important later.
yeah. So he pretty much goes this whole bit like, no, Goku, you are there. You just need one last push.
And he
And
basically goes out of his way to destroy the copy ability so that
yeah, he breaks all the little crystals that like is where he stores the powers. So
yeah, because he's like, all right, this is the biggest problem we have right now. I'm gonna get rid of this, and he ends up basically self-sacrificing, and that's enough for Goku to really finally push to that next level.
it's like, yeah, we need a new transformation. It's time for some self-sacrifice. Or just sacrifice. At least Krillin didn't have to blow up this time.
Yeah. Yamcha didn't have to die. And it's really sad that like when Chi-Chi died, he wasn't that affected. I'm just saying. Or was he even aware that she died?
In the Buu saga?
Yeah.
He was watching the crystal ball.
Oh.
But at that point he'd been dead for 7 years, so at that point he was probably just like, all right, I guess I can hang out with my wife again.
He was probably like, oh no, she's gonna be here now.
No, now I have to deal with her for eternity. I'm just gonna continue to hide here.
He wasn't even that upset when Gohan died. Very briefly.
No, Videl was more upset than he was.
Yeah, well, that would make sense.
Which again, that whole bit just still doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. But anyway, we know Goku's
but we're not talking about that arc. We're talking about the Moro arc.
For those who don't know, Goku's kind of an asshole.
Yeah. So anyways, Goku achieves Mastered Ultra Instinct. He gets the silver hair and everything. And
Beerus is very Beerus is very upset by this too.
Kind of, sort of.
I wouldn't say upset. He's more Beerus is just like, oh, great.
So yeah, he's just like, oh, you did it again. Great.
He's like, oh, now he can do it on command. Great.
Yep. He can do it at will now, so he just has that ability, which, wow, Goku, you're just gonna go ahead and fucking jump that shark, aren't you?
And what was crazy is we did see it briefly during the tournament, but it wasn't enough to really give us a full scope of what Ultra Instinct really is. This is the first point where it's like, holy shit, like Goku just is OP now.
Yeah. So yeah, he just completely destroys Moro, like not physically, but like just wears him down to the point where like he's got nothing. Like Moro's actually kind of freaking out a little bit at this point, like thinking like I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and it's like it's a really cool fight, and like when it got to the point where like he straight up like beat down Moro and Moro was done. We get to the worst part of this fucking arc right here.
Yep. Because he turns to Jocko and says, hey, this guy's the death penalty, right? He's like, Jocko's like, yeah, kill him. Kill him, Goku.
Finally, do it. Like, please. And I'm like, the whole time I'm sitting there going like, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it again.
And he just zips over to Krillin, steals the bag of sensu beans, and says, here you go, Moro. Even though Moro had already made it abundantly clear that he was not going to have a turn, he was just, nope, I'm gonna kill you if I get the chance. And sure than shit, he eats the sensu bean and goes right back to saying, I'm gonna kill you all.
Now, my big problem with this whole scene was I'm annoyed because if Goku had defeated him there and like that was how it ended, that would have been such an epic like ending. I don't know about you, but I found the way it does end to be incredibly anticlimactic.
I mean, I thought it was cool, like, and the setup for it, like we'll get to it when we get to it, but the way he's able to is really cool, and it makes a lot of other things later make sense. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah. So obviously Goku gives him the sensu bean. He gets restored back to how he was. And then, although it doesn't restore the crystals, I noticed, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, well, maybe that's because it was an angel that
Maybe,
caused that damage. Maybe that makes a difference.
possibly.
Because even though all he was really doing was destroying the crystal. Well, first of all, he used the magic angel staff, which you know has its own powers. But also like he, even though he's breaking the crystals, he says I'm sealing the power. So
True.
maybe there was a little bit more to it than that.
Maybe.
Um,
But basically he's back to full strength, and like the whole time it's like Goku's like, fine, I'll just beat you up again. Um, and then you look in the background and you see that arm from earlier floating on a nice.
conveniently floating on this tiny little piece of earth that's floating in a lava pool.
Yep. And then it zooms in and shows Mirrors is on the hand in the hand, and I just went, no. I was literally just went, no. Like, come on.
Yep.
So then he absorbs that and he turns into the planet.
Well, at first he's just kind of using Ultra Instinct, but then his body starts going super out of whack because his body can't contain the power because he didn't train for it,
Yeah.
which is a big part of it. Like you have to like mold your body to be able to handle Ultra Instinct. You
Yeah.
can't just do it.
To have that kind of divine energy, basically.
Yeah, especially the fact that it's an angel's Ultra Instinct. So
then he absorbs the planet and becomes the planets.
Yeah, he like merges with it. Where the meme of Floro becomes because he's literally just a giant face sticking out of the ground.
So I had seen that image like before I read this, and I was like, that's bizarre. I actually thought that was from the next arc. I didn't really, because it looked nothing like Moro when I started reading this. I was like, I didn't make the connection right away. And then I saw it happen. I was like, oh, that's where this is from.
So in the anime, we had Sky Zamasu, and then here we have Floro.
Yeah. And the whole part is like, they're like, because at one point, even like Beerus is he's like, oh, I'm gonna have to get involved now, and then he gets noped away by the angels.
Mm-hmm.
Because Whis and Beerus are in trouble, and I like the fact that Beerus is like, what did I do?
Yeah, he's like, I wasn't even involved.
I was just here.
He's like, I'm not in charge of the angels. Like they're above me.
But we'll get to what happens to them a little bit later, because Goku now has to face off against Floro, who he's so unstable that they're basically like, oh yeah, if he detonates, the planet's done. If he dies, yeah, the planet's over. So
and also the shockwaves from it, because he's so powerful, will pretty much destroy the entire universe.
Yes. So it's like, way to break it, Goku.
Yeah, right. So at this point, it's like, okay, so he is. Yeah, there's pretty much no way to avoid the energy drain because he is the planet.
Yeah.
So, Goku can't maintain Ultra Instinct anymore. He's just getting fucking just, wrecked. And you got Vegeta just punching the ground using the Spirit Vision power on it, trying to like kind of cancel out as much as he can, but it's just too much for him to handle all at once.
Yep.
So ultimately, they have this idea that, okay, so Goku's drained, so he's going to use the Spirit Vision to kind of gather everybody's energy and give it to him. Problem is, though, once they give it to him, he can only go blue because there's not enough God Ki mixed in for him to go Ultra Instinct. And that's where we get like the big like twist to this arc, is that because when Jocko realizes that that's what's going on, he flies off to go find Majin Buu. And
this. How did I completely forgot about this?
The Grand Supreme Kai, or the Lord of Lords, however you want to say it, goes off and finds Oob and helps him to tap into that God Ki to send it off Goku's way, and that's how he's able to achieve Ultra Instinct again.
And the whole way, he's like, don't worry, son. You just do this real quick. And he's like, thanks, random stranger. I have no idea who that was. I'm gonna just go back on with my day.
I'm just a 6-year-old.
Yeah. I completely forgot about that. That scene right at the end.
Which, with now having the context that he inherited the God Ki from Kid Buu, now it actually adds extra meaning behind Goku training him.
Yeah. Still don't
Because
like it.
not he doesn't just have Kid Buu power, he has God Ki inherently.
Yeah.
So that automatically puts him on a higher plane.
Yeah. I still don't like him fucking off from his family again, but it's Goku at this
Wait,
point.
to be fair, he's doing this as a favor to Dende because Dende asked him to train him earlier. So
sure. I mean, he could come say hi. Like he can
yeah,
teleport.
but he's not gonna like.
We can have.
He's like, I'll visit you once every few years. It's fine.
Hello, wife. Make me dinner. Bye, wife.
And then the next time they saw him, he was a child.
No, that's not
literally this. Literally the second he finishes training Oob, he's like, "Well, I'm a kid again.
That's
My
not
wife is
canon.
old.
Not canon. Didn't happen.
My granddaughter's older than me now. It's weird,
but I can still beat everyone's ass."
Yeah. But yeah, Goku goes back into Ultra Instinct, and is pretty much creates a spirit mech, very reminiscent of Naruto.
Yeah, this was the point where I was like, I'm not sure what Torotaro's cooking, but let him cook. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah. So like giant Ki Goku and Floro are like wrestling. And they get like pretty much forehead to forehead, and Goku's in giant Goku's forehead, so he just kind of pops through and punches the crystal, and that's the end of Moro.
That was the anticlimactic part for me. I was like, oh, I was like, cool.
Well, I mean, would you call the ending to Superhero anticlimactic? Because it's essentially the same thing.
True. I think. See, the thing is, I think I'm just annoyed by Goku at this point.
That's fair. I think the difference is the fact that in Superhero it was Gohan and not Goku.
It was Gohan and Piccolo, and at that point, I just wanted them to do something, and they finally got an awesome moment. At this point, this is Goku fixing his fucking fuck up for like the 30th time, and I was just annoyed.
This is
like,
true.
I'm like, this was unnecessary.
So then, just kind of wrap things up. Everyone's happy. Yay, we beat the bad guy. They all get medals, and Miras turns out isn't actually dead because the Grand Priest erased him before whatever fucking spiritual whatever killed him naturally, and he was resurrected as a mortal. So now he's no longer an angel with angel powers. He is just Miras of the Galactic Patrol, and they all get medals and live happily ever after.
Except for Whis.
Except for Beerus and Supreme Kai.
Oh yeah, not Whis. I forgot. Whis doesn't get in trouble. Whis just gets basically like a "I'm very disappointed, son" kind of moment.
Because Supreme Kai apparently the reason that Miras was spared is because Supreme Kai came and asked for basically offered to trade his life for Miras's because Miras is such a good guy. And Beerus got real mad at him about that because obviously they share a life, you know. If one of them dies, the other one dies.
That's the thing, like that it wasn't really explained much in the anime, but here it's like, oh yeah, these guys are kind of important.
Their punishment is that they have to play horsey for the two Zennies.
Beerus is so upset. And it's like the poor guy did nothing. Did nothing wrong this entire arc. Aside from not getting involved, but granted, I don't really blame him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, the reason that his universe was in trouble in the first place during Tournament of Power was because he didn't ever get involved. He doesn't work. Yeah. That's his problem. You'd think he would have learned his lesson, but he didn't.
Well, he does. His whole thing is like he's training Goku like subtly, but he doesn't. He underestimates just how fucking stupid Goku is sometimes.
Well, technically, Whis is training him. Beerus still isn't doing anything. He just occasionally like fights him just to see how far he's come.
Well, my favorite thing is the fact that Goku still thinks what's his name is the most powerful person on Earth right now.
Oh yeah, Monaka. Didn't they name drop? Didn't they name drop Monaka in this arc?
Because they need a strong person, and Jock was like, "What about that Monaka guy?" And they're like, "No, he's busy right now. He can't do it."
Yeah, no, not him.
They're just gonna let that joke keep going.
Yep. So yeah, that's the Moro arc.
Yeah. Aside from the ending annoyances, though, I did love the arc. I loved everything they did with Vegeta. Hell, all the Gohan had great moments. Piccolo,
even Yamcha.
Yamcha did something. The androids showed up.
which is always fun.
Bulma had some good scenes. They
We got some,
remembered they remembered Chi Chi for three
yeah,
seconds.
we got some new techniques as opposed to new transformations, which is always a welcome thing in Dragon Ball
I think Vegeta was the MVP of this arc, though.
for sure. Even though
Just
Goku, of course, stole the win as he does, but he
Goku's
wouldn't have gotten that win if it wasn't for Vegeta's move. So there.
true. I still say I get why they did that, but I still think like if Goku had just beat him outright there the first time, that would have been such a satisfying end there. Like I wouldn't have even have been mad that he stole it from Vegeta.
But at the same time, like, yeah, the fuck up is the fuck up, and Goku's being Goku. But it did give us that extra thing with Oob. Like now, Oob has that extra context. Now it makes more sense for him to be a priority to train, especially since like yeah, Gohan's kind of keeping up, but he doesn't take the training super seriously, and Goten and Trunks just fuck off all the time. So it's like one of those things where like, all right, who's gonna be the guy once Goku's gone? Like Oob's gonna be
Yeah.
that guy.
In all honesty, though, the thing I think that bothers me the most about it is the sensu bean. Like they could have had him like before Goku does like a say like a mortal blow, the arm floats by, and then that's how it happens. Like just like
Yeah, the sense being didn't need to be a part of
the
it,
sensu bean just kind of makes me just annoyed the entire ending. Like
especially since I'm pretty sure that's the only senzu bean that's actually used in this arc.
yeah, and that annoyed me because it's
Because
like oh,
Dende and Eska were the ones running around healing everybody.
well, because there's a point where they mention we got to go back and get sensu beans, and then they get kind of like I think Moro is like, nope, you're not leaving.
Yeah, he does like the barrier thing. Yeah,
Because yeah, because like they could have very easy like the arm would have been like a better like a good like wham surprise if they had just had it be like conveniently it shows up at just the right time kind of thing.
Mhm.
This point it
But
was
no,
still a oh, go on.
yeah, go on. I was
I was,
gonna continue on. You,
I was just gonna say like it still would have been a good like it was still a good surprise here, but I was so annoyed that like when it showed up I was like, oh, of course this.
yeah. So yeah, overall, I definitely feel like this is the best arc up to this point. And I don't know if part of that is just because it's the first wholly original arc and not just a different take on a arc we've already seen. But
To be honest, too, the reason why I think this arc works so well is it's very aside from that one thing, it is such a fresh, like different arc. Like this is very unique all around.
yeah, I mean, again, like while this is still very recognizably Dragon Ball, like down to its core, Senzu bean and all, um, like this feels like if Dragon Ball had been a modern shonen anime in the first place, like because literally everybody gets their moment. Even if it's something minor, like everybody gets something. You know,
Yeah, the only
it's a lot more than just killing time until Goku shows up.
yeah, like because the only real moment that like the only thing that really like the manga kind of just completely glazes over is the not counting the early stuff where they abridge it. The Brawly movies completely just skipped over in the manga.
Yeah, they pretty much just say, "Hey, this happened. Go watch the movie."
Yeah, because I was wondering the whole time, like, where is Brawly? Are they just on Death Planet still?
No, we're not going to see him until like the end of the superhero arc, I think.
Makes sense. Um, yeah, I liked it though overall. I'm looking forward to the next arc, even though I've heard it's not as good, but it's still good for people.
Yeah, I'd say overall, like in terms of as far as like an isolated story goes, it's not as um grandiose, we'll say, as the Moro arc. This next arc is going to be a lot more personal in some ways,
Okay,
specifically for Goku and Vegeta.
gotcha.
Like
Um,
they're pretty much the only main characters that are involved for the most part.
gotcha.
But it's not their arc, if that makes sense. It's
Okay,
really Granola is the main character in that arc.
okay. Well, it's gonna be a bit before we get to that because we have to cycle through Death Note and Yu-Gi-Oh again, but
Yes.
and I'm sure I mean we got the rest of Toriyama month, so
Yeah, it's gonna be a bit before we even get to the next Yu-Gi-Oh section. But
Yeah. So I forget the schedule. What's our next Toriyama topic?
I believe next week we're doing Gogo Akman.
Okay, and that's scheduled for Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I do want to. I'm going to send him a message at some point this weekend and just double check and make sure that he's still available. But we are planning on having a guest for that episode.
Yes. All right. Well, that was a fun time. But anyways,
It was our
guys,
longest manga review so far.
shit, almost 2.5 hours. um, well, it's Dragon Ball. That just happens with us at this point.
Yeah. Well, I think because with all the previous arcs, we tended to focus a lot more on the differences than
Yeah.
the actual arc itself. This is the first time where we had to really like sit here and look at the arc as its own product. So we had
Yeah.
to take a little bit more time to talk about the different aspects of it. So
Yeah. But yeah. So anyways, guys, once again, thank you for joining us on Geek Addicts. You can find Geek Addicts on all the major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcast and Spotify. And be sure to check us out over on the Superpod Network. That is superpodnetwork.com. Awesome site where you can find a whole bunch of different shows, videos, blogs. We're wrapping up this series on PlayStation games that we've been doing. And yeah, be sure to check out a whole bunch of awesome stuff coming from there in the future. But anyways, guys, uh once again, thank you for watching. I'm falling apart.
have a good one.